Okay, so we are rereading Atomic Habits by James Clear, and we are relearning a lot of things. So the first thing I actually relearned is that your habits can, of course, provide you with a compound interest when it comes to self-improvement. But the thing is also, the opposite is also true, that bad habits actually compound to propel you downwards over time. So that's what I that's what I recently learned, and that's kind of shocked me because I've actually been in a downhill of habits in this summer break, and understood that if I don't fix it, it's just gonna keep going down, and ultimately I'm gonna go back to zero. So not only do I have to build good habits so that they could grow exponentially, compound over time, but you also need to remove negative behaviors so that in due time you're gonna have a better life. Because if, for example, you're sure you're providing yourself with maybe positive habits, but then you're also so this is your life. You're doing for example positive habits, right? So over time it should go like this, but actually you also have negative habits that you're actually still doing that you're not addressing. So instead of actually going this, because like for example you're working out, you're doing more work, and for example you're a student, so you want to be healthy, you want to have great trades, so you work out. So that's a great habit, working out maybe 2 times 3 times a week, and then you also study every single day for hours. But then you also have bad habits, for example is like binge eating food, binge watching, playing too many games without having a limit, not cleaning, not having a habit cleaning. So over time your life is, instead of like going pounding exponentially, it's actually just kind of going up and down, because both improvement and this escalation is actually going through your life at the same time. So instead of improving, your life probably goes on something like this. It goes in a wave, and that shouldn't be that way. So if you want to improve your life, you actually need to focus on building good habits, but most importantly, you also need to focus on removing bad ones, so that you don't have a life where it goes up and down, goes up and down. It's true, we worked out, so you worked out, but then you also binge eat. So that's like, so the calories intake is more than the calories expenditure, so you're still not losing weight. So it's like going like this. Your life is like not really improving, so it's gonna plateau. So that's why I understood it of it, and actually it shocked me because I'm building, after now 2 years in college, I've built a good system of habits, I'd say. Cleaning, for example, doing tasks, the kind of lost it. For example, if I have to do tasks, I just think to myself, if I can do it under a minute or maybe 5 minutes, I'll do it immediately, because why not? That's very little time than, for example, scrolling for 30 minutes. It's very little. It's a fraction of it. So that's why I do that. So one of my habits, cleaning immediately after bed, washing. But also I also have studying, prioritizing studying every single day. Like the habit, prioritizing what you call the big missions of my life at the start of my day is a habit that I've been forming. If for example at school my number of priorities is to get good grades, so I study every single morning is my first priority. And what also habit is that I wash my face, and then I eat immediately, and then I read, and then I study. And that's a good habit. But I also have bad habits, which is when I scroll, for example, I actually doom scroll. So what ends up happening is I end up wasting maybe 4 hours, let's say, scrolling and gaming. And I've only studied 1 hour, so it's disproportionate, and I don't want that. Because over time, sure, I'm improving, but I'm also sort of damaging my life, removing my productive output. So yeah, recently as well, I've been like playing games till morning. It's been bad. Last night, actually today, I slept at 10 a.m. I think, and I woke up 6, and I don't have time to do anything. Actually, I do. I just did guitar. I read, which I'm talking about now, and then I'm gonna do what do you call it? I'm gonna do what's written in here. Yeah, gonna try to find jobs or part times that I can do or learn skill for that part time, whatever which I choose. I still haven't found anything, but yeah. So yeah, I've been, I still work out. I still wash my face. I do still do my bed. I still read, but at the end of the day, like for example, I don't sleep early. I binge or game a lot, so I end up like sleeping very late currently. At this summer break, I've been disorganized. So yeah, I've been working out. Sure, I've been eating 2 times, 3 times a day, but then I'm not sleeping well, so my life goes down, and I'm gaming for it. I'm sleeping late, and I'm not, and end up actually going in a little bit downhill because I end up being stressed. I end up being stressed, and it goes down here, and then I work out again, and I start to do this kind of. So I gotta fix this system. Not only do I have to make good habits, but destroy the bad ones that are ruining my life. So that's my two objective right now. So yeah, I'm gonna reflect on that today and do the things that I gotta do. It's the first lesson. What's other lessons we have here? Yeah, the second lesson we've read right now is that goals don't matter much as system, and I guess that kind of relates to the first lesson because both winners and losers, it says right here, have the same goals. So if they do, then what's the difference? The difference is systems because the same person could strive to have good grades, but then only one of them actually studies maybe an hour each day, every single day, and that's his system, and that's what ultimately propelled him from achieving his academic endeavor. And so that's how important systems are, that in fact goals don't even matter much in relation to the size of the importance of systems, because system is what does the goal provides direction, but that's just it. What do I want to achieve? If I want to achieve this, but systems is actually the thing that does it. So yeah, it relates to the first lesson, which is to fix my system, which is provide or what call it, do more and be more consistent with a system of habits, the good ones for self-improvement, and then removing what you state as negative behavior and negative habits. So let's go. Time check. It is 12:57 a.m. Of course, it's a bit late, but no, it's all right. Don't judge me. We're a bit early for compared to yesterday. But anyways, yeah. So let's say day 2 of relearning atomic habits. So day 1 was me like stating that when it comes to improvement, if you want to improve your life, you actually have to not only build a solid foundation of good habits so that you're propelled towards a positive output in life, but you also need to remove negative habits in your life so that you don't decline and decline and incline. So if you want to, sort of always go up in an exponential positive light in your life, you're gonna have to remove negative habits as well, because negative habits, just as the same as good ones, actually compound over time. So if they're good, they're gonna be beneficial for you. If you work out, say 2-3 times per week over a span of 10 years, bro, you're extremely physically fit. But if you say drink and do late up parties every week, every Sunday, it's for example, for the past 10 years, we're probably gonna have problems of your liver and kidney, maybe. But yeah, it's gonna accumulate. So what you're gonna do, that's my day 1 learning, is that not only do you have to build positive habits, also remove negative habits so you don't go down. So day 2, we're now at day 2. So what I learned right now is that, so what did we learn? That is the question. What we learned right now is that identity oriented or identity based solution when it comes to solving your problem. So what I mean by that is that we often quite easily set goals. So we set goals that we want to be fit, we want to maybe start learning guitar, or maybe be able to play guitar, we want to be able to start our business. But those are simply all goals, and they are very minuscule compared to your system, which we actually explained day one. But they're also, and even the system, and that system and solving your problem is fundamentally being held up by what we'd state your values, who you are as a person. So that's what it means to be identity based solution, or identity oriented habits. So what you're trying to be is that you're not trying to be someone, you're not trying to be, you're not trying to play guitar. What you're actually trying to do is become a guitarist. Or let's say you don't actually want to play music. What you need to understand is you want to become a person who is a musician. Because a musician, what does he does? He plays music, enjoys it. Because that ultimately, that identity will what push you to, act. If you state to yourself, I get an example with the book is that of a smoker, right? What happened is that there were two people, right? In that two people, one stated, I he was asked to for a smoke, and he said, "No, thank you. I'm trying to quit smoking." That's all right. That's a all right answer. But compared to this, it's a good answer. But compared to this, no, I'm not a smoker. That just gives two very greater amount of conviction and strength, and that's what the power of identity oriented habits, because they provide a great solution towards achieving that goal. So yeah, well, that's what I understand from it. And yeah, that's the day two learning. So yeah, if I currently, I want to be, let's say you want to be able to play music, where you're gonna state to yourself right now, I'm a musician, and so I'm a musician. So what musicians do? They try music. So you're gonna start by that. Day by day, you're just gonna build it up. The actions will define you, and your definition of you will actually push you to do actions, because you state yourself, I'm a musician, so I will do this. Oh, I'm a productive person, and so I'll go exercise. Or I am a runner, so I'll run. Right? So that's ultimately, honestly, a life changing idea for me. And yeah, I just remembered it. I forgot about this, honestly. I just speed through this the first time I read it, so that's why I'm relearning it. So yeah, that's the first one. And the other learning I have for today is that you don't actually have to win every single day. You don't. You just have to win the majority of the time. But he states, that's my interpretation of it. But what he states here is that you don't gotta, have all the votes to win a position, for example, political position. You just get to have the majority of it. And it's the same with your habits as well. It's not that you have to run every single day to become a runner. What you're gonna do is that probably twice a week for the next 10 years, you're gonna run because you're a runner. And that even in itself, that's awesome. And that's what it means by winning, not winning all the, well, that's what I mean by not winning all the time. You just gotta win majority of the time. Yeah. So yeah, like for example, if you say I'm a physically fit person, I'm a person who takes care of their health. So you try your best. So you buy healthy foods. You don't drink as much. But then sometimes every maybe few months, 4 months, you have a wine party with your friends. That could be that's just all right, because that's how it's all right, because that's how life is, and it doesn't matter as much as being way more consistent and being and winning more. So yeah, think about it like that. So if you lose, right? So if you're, for example, you're you want to be a runner and you broke your streak of running, don't be we call it negative and don't be negative about it though. Just think, accept that you failed. I failed to go on. I failed to run today. That was my schedule for a week. I should have run. So how can I actually, what can I change in my system that will help me achieve that? Do it in that kind of aspect where you're solution oriented but also positive oriented. You're thinking about, it's not about winning all the time, it's about winning the majority of the time. So yeah, that's day two learnings and skadoosh. Oh, wait. So that's day two learning. So take care, stay safe, and skadoosh. Done changing. So we have earrings, right? We have this one for the other, right? We have our watch, we have our bracelet, and we have our bracelet for our other hand, and we also have our bag. So for day three, we actually went out to talk to a elementary friend. So he's a friend from elementary, and we're now third year college. So that's like 6 years in high school. Is it 6 years? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12? Yeah, 6 years in high school and senior high school, and another 2 years for college. So we haven't met in 8 years. So yeah, I went out to talk to my childhood friend. So yeah, that's just that part. All right, let's go. So this is day three of relearning atomic habits. So I had to cut short my reading time because I'm a bit sleepy. But what did I learn? Yeah, I had to cut the chapter as well. I didn't really fully read the chapter. Just had to stop because I'm getting tired. So what I learned is that habits form in the brain because they are helpful, right? And how so? Because what a habit does is it's just an automatic solution in your brain, right? The things that you find in your life that ultimately happens a lot. So your brain says that, oh, you after you wash your face in the morning, you brush your teeth. So it makes that into non-conscious. It turns that into a habit. It turns it into something that you don't think about. It takes away the mental load onto that specific thing, so that you don't really think when you wake up to fold the bed. You just do it, and you don't think about it because it's a habit, and that's the power of habits because they take away the mental load on your brain, right? The load of making decisions, right? So they're automated solutions basically in your brain, and the fact that we can program it, our automatic solutions in our life, means that we are sort of like building ourselves into like sort of this, like we're kind of building ourselves, we're kind of a robot, right? But we're kind of like a robot wherein like we can fix things and we can set up manuals to do this for this specific situations, and we can do that in our life so that in times we have more mental capacity to do more higher order thinking, like maybe assessing life problems, or maybe what you'd say, creativity. So those things actually are able to be more induced because of habits. And yeah, they're actually, though I said it's kind of makes it a robot, which we are upgrading and turning things automatics, which does that take our freedom? Absolutely not. As I've stated, it actually helps in attaining freedom because you're not making this manual decisions every single day to fold your bread, to fold your bed, to wash your teeth. I wash your face and wash your teeth. And when you're eating, immediately wash your dishes. You don't think about that. You just do it, and it's the power of habits. You actually gain freedom to think about other things. In return, and the opposite of end of it is like someone who doesn't have a good habit, for example, and it doesn't. He has to think about, should I clean the bed? Should I not? Probably not important. Should I brush my face? Should I not do it? He has to think all of those little things. So in turn, he doesn't have the freedom to actually think. He doesn't have the freedom and space. He doesn't have the freedom and space to think onto higher order things. And so yeah, habits are an automatic solution to your life, and they give you freedom, and they, what was it? I forgot my third thing. And they allow you to have less mental load. So that's that. That's day 3. Let's go. It's pretty cool. Awesome book. Greatly recommend. Day 3. Let's go. Is now day 4 on to relearning atomic habits. Oof. It is time check. Oh, it is 3:44 a.m. July 21. Yeah. So I got late on reading because I had to apply to a job online, which I had to do more work than I anticipated. But ultimately, it's because I got distracted. I got distracted till like 11 p.m. to do that specific job application, and now I'm speedrunning things. That's one of the reasons why I'm not wearing a shirt, so that I feel cold and I feel rushed to do the job application, and feel rushed to read as fast as possible, and to scan, to read as possible, do things as much as possible. This is actually a thing that I learned about a famous writer who would lock himself up and strip himself extremely naked, so that he would feel, we would be forced to write, and he would actually give the key to one of his I don't know, subordinates, I'd say. I'll put the image of the guy and the name of the guy over here. So yeah, it's his name is Victor Hugo, the one who wrote The Hunchback of Notre Dame, bro. The Disney movie, bro. He wrote the novel for that one. Inspiration for that, and he also wrote Les Miserables, and it's a pretty popular theater work, right? And it's a playwright, so he wrote it for theater. But yeah, it's a popular thing, and my sister said it's a good one, and she really pushes me to watch it, but I haven't watched it yet. But yeah, Victor Hugo is a goated writer, right? And the thing is, he was also a pretty bad procrastinator, bro. So basically, Victor Hugo had, let's say, 2 years, correct me if I'm wrong on this, 2 years to write a book, let's say, maybe even more. But then, like, he procrastinated for more than a year. So, he partied, he went out, he just did tea parties, maybe. But yeah, he just didn't write for more than a year. So what his writing director stated was, you have 6 months to finish your book. It's all or nothing. I'm leaving you behind. It's all or this. So, like, Victor Hugo was panicking. He was like, bro, no, I gotta lock in, bro. So what he did was that he would strip naked and lock away his clothes to avoid procrastination and leaving the house. Because now, he had no clothes. He would have it locked up in somewhere and have the key to his, I think, subordinate. And it would state, hey, don't give it to me until I finish writing from this to 4 hours, let's say, And in that way, when his friends come over and they knock on his door, hey, do you want to go out? He would maybe say, like, I'm naked, bro. I can't. So, yeah, he did that. He, stripped naked, completely naked, just completely write, even if it was cold, to force himself to write. So my dude was cooking The Hunchback of Notre Dame, Les Miserables, naked. So think about that. But anyways, yeah, to force himself to not procrastinate and really, just do it. So yeah, he ended up finishing The Hunchback of Notre Dame, which is a goated book even to this day, right? It's a beautiful book. It's a beautiful writing. In just 6 months. 6 months to write that book. Even Disney adopted it because it was a great book. But yeah, that's Victor Hugo. That's what I'm doing. Let's go. But yeah, he just did that to force himself to work. So I'm kind of doing that right now, but not wearing a shirt. But I'm wearing pants, guys. Don't worry, I'm wearing pants. So yeah, I'm forcing myself to do that because yeah, it's one of the things that I've learned that it can actually work, to force yourself to do it. But yeah, so yeah, what I did this day 4. So what did I learn in the Atomic Habits? I learned that habits have 4 components. They have a CR, or I call it CQ, and then craving, and reward, and then response, right? So for example, you have a cue that when you see your phone, you get a craving to just use it, or scroll into it.
So that's cue, and you have a craving, and in your response, you get the phone and you scroll. And the reward is that you feel good. You get to scroll, you get to have this instant gratification that, oof, funny videos of cats, maybe. So you get that and your reward, but also the reward actually satisfies the craving, right? Which in result actually fortifies the cue even more, makes the cue even more stronger the more times you get in this loop, right? So what it's basically doing is that it's a loop. So you get the cue to, there's your phone, oh my god, I'm craving to scroll, and then you scroll, that's your response, and then after your response you get a reward and feel good, and so on. That response ultimately also satisfies your craving, so it solidifies more the cue, like there's more strength to the cue when you see your phone. Oh my god, I can't really stop myself now. It's because, yeah, it's fortifies itself. It's a loop. It's one of the things that I've learned in day 4. I had to cut it short. I read as fast as I could, but I feel like if I kept going, I wouldn't really get much substance into it. So yeah, I've been learning. This is day 4. I've been relearning about the concept of atomic habits. Absolutely a goated book. Yeah, it's because it's a self help book that actually has a step by step guide into changing your behavior and the things that you do in your life. In a lot of aspects actually. But anyways, yeah. So so now in day 4, I'm gonna focus more on reflecting. So what can I do to change my me being distracted right now? Because yeah, has been happening that I procrastinate, right? Just push off the things that I have to do. I have to find a part-time job. It's one of the goals I have this summer, but I still keep pushing on job applications. So which which is bad. So what are one of the things I can do, based on the reflection that I've done on atomic habits? So one of the things I can do is, mm, this is one of the uh, further topics, isn't it? The concept of make it invisible. The opposite, basically, of good habit building. Make it invisible, make it difficult, make it unsatisfying, and make it. I forgot the last one. But let's just incorporate the things that we know. But these are the 4 habit laws, and these are the 4 of their opposite. So yeah, those are the 4 laws of behavior change that James Clear states. They're just 4 ways in which you can incorporate habits, right? So the 4 laws of behavior change are: make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. That's if you want to create a habit that you want to do, right? A good habit. But if you want to remove a bad habit that you're doing, what you're gonna do is just simply do the opposite of the 4 laws. So the opposite of making it obvious is making it invisible. Let's say you doom scroll every late night before you go to bed. You have a tendency to do that. I do, me personally. So what I do is, I make my phone invisible at the time of bed. So I just charge it at the charging station and leave it there, so that in my bed I don't really have my phone, so I don't see it. Right? You're making it invisible. So, for example, if you want to eat healthy, why not choose to not buy, say, cookies, because they're high in calories, high in sugar, processed food. In that way, it's invisible in the actual environment that you're in. There are no cookies. Or if you live in a living space with people, why not ask them to hide their cookies so that it's invisible for you to ask for cookies for them. So yeah, that's one of the things you can do. And the opposite of making it attractive, make it unattractive. Highlight the negative effects of not doing a habit. Hold up. So yeah, make it attractive. If you want to make the habit, but make it unattractive. Oh no, take 2. So yeah, make it attractive. If it's a hobby you want to do, so make it attractive. Let's say you highlight the good effects of working out. You always try to do that before you work out. And you say you join a community of people who are like you, who are gamers that want to be physically fit. Those are one of the things that you can do to make it attractive, right? To allow your brain to associate that this is a good thing. I'm working out so I can be physically fit. I'm running with people so I have great cardiovascular strength. So yeah, but if you want to remove a negative habit, make it unattractive. Let's say smoking. You highlight the negative effects of smoking. It's one of the things you could do. I guess one of the things you could do to make it unattractive is let's say, pay someone whenever you do the bad habit, right? Something you can do, something James Clear states here. For example, if you doom scroll like me, you could pay your roommate or girlfriend boyfriend to sort of, I'll pay you 10 pesos every time you see me doom scroll. So yeah, in that way, you're sort of associating this negative behavior into, something that's unattractive in your brain. And hopefully, if you consistently do that over time, it will, that sort of behavior will become less attractive and decline. So yeah, how about making it easy? So again, making it easy is making it accessible, or being proactively lazy is what James Clear states. No, that's a bad concept. I'll talk about that in a few days. But anyways, yeah, make it easy. How do you make it easy? Let's say you want to run every morning. How can you make it easy? How can you remove friction from you running in the morning? So what you can do is, like, the night before, you're gonna prepare your shoes, your socks, your running wear, and you're gonna put it beside your bed. Maybe put it a chair, right, or something just beside your bed, so that when you wake up, it's easy for you. Because right now it's there. Your shoe, you have your stuff like those. What do you call running wear. And one of the things you could do to make it easy as well is set a time. Set a specific time, place, and how you're gonna do it, right? So, let's say you run every 7 a.m. Monday, Wednesday, Friday at your local barangay or municipality. So yeah, that's one of the ways you can make it easy. But let's say you want to remove a negative habit, you just do an opposite of that. You make it difficult, right? So if you doom scroll, you have a tendency to doom scroll every night. How can you make it difficult? Well, you increase the friction of doing the behavior. So for me, for example, I put my phone in the charging station so that I don't see it, and it's harder for me. It's actually two laws in it, isn't it? So, like, I don't see it, so it's not obvious, it's invisible, and it's difficult because now it's charged. I have to walk out my bed and pick up my phone if I have to use it. So yeah, make it difficult is the opposite of make it easy. And again, make it satisfying if you want to make it a habit, right? Link immediate rewards in your habits. Let's say every time you work out, you listen to the music you love, right? That's one of the things to make it satisfying. But you can also use the opposite of that, make it unsatisfying for things that you want to remove. Let's say you really are persistent in eating, binge eating. How can you make it unsatisfying? How can you make that unsatisfying? Well, maybe like binge it in public. I think that would actually make it unsatisfying, because now you're being watched by people, so you're most likely less likely actually to not do it. So yeah, 4 laws of behavior change. If you want to make it a habit, just do the opposite of those if you don't want to make it a habit, and be consistent. That's all there is to it. Skadooshh.
It's just the reciprocal. If you want to not for of remove if you want to remove the a bad habit or habit you don't want, you just got to do the opposite of habit forming loss. So yeah, anyways, so what can we do? So for the first thing we could do is, like, make it a habit that every time we wake up in the morning, not at night, to apply first, right? Do the hard thing first. So that's one of the habits we should make, especially when we're gonna go to the school soon. So we have to make a habit. So the first thing to do when our days do the hardest, so we're gonna do the job application first.
yeah, we're gonna do that for hopefully few hours. Force ourselves to do that, and then go on other things of our life like reading and music. So yeah, that's our first. So the first thing we're gonna do is just make it a priority. But what? How can we make it a priority? How can we actually do it? Well, the thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna focus on simplifying it. So just I'm just gonna after maybe let's incorporate habit stacking as well. So after I wake up, I make the bed, I wash my face. I how about this? I immediately start job application. I think I can do that. Sometimes I get too hungry, but I think I can sort of sublime my desires for hunger just a little bit so that I can start each day onto it. Because honestly, what's stopping me is just starting. Once I've started the job application process and I found a job that I wanted to apply to, and actually started writing. It was easy, bro. It was like very easy. Like I was able to do it in like poof, just like that. I didn't think of it. It was less effort. The more effort, the thing that actually required more effort was just me starting. So what I'm gonna do is like first thing in the morning, non-negotiable. I'm gonna do my system for the morning, which is make my bed, clean it, fold, those things, folding the what do you call it, the habol, how do you call it, the bed sheet. No, I don't know. I forgot. I am having brain fog right now. But yeah, I fold that and then I wash my face and then I usually eat. But now I'm gonna change it up a bit. Before uh, so I'm gonna do my morning system. After washing, I'm gonna drink water, and then I'm gonna immediately force myself into just starting out, you know, what do you call it? Just starting a job application. That's the one thing I do in my behavior, based on the things that I've learned in Atomic Habits as well. Just starting, just making it a behavior so that it's attached, so that it's one of the things, it's attached to another habit, so that's habit stacking, so it's easier for me to sort of do, right, and remember. And over time, if I keep doing it, it will be automatic. So hopefully what will happen, you know and also I'm focusing on the key of just opening the laptop and starting. So hopefully that will help me make onto this habit, right? But also, yeah, hopefully, yeah, let's just focus on starting. Let's just do that. That's our day 4. We're reflecting on how to using our knowledge, on using the overall book. Actually, those knowledge were from the overall book. But yeah, we're not using the knowledge. So that's all for day 4. I'm gonna do some guitar and sleep after I feel a little bit more tired. You know. So that's it. Anyways, good night and skadoosh. We forgot one of the important notes of one of the important concepts of the book, which is that to focus on the identity, right? So let's reframe it a bit and always think that my goal is not to work, to practice doing hard things every day, but to become a person who does the hard thing first. I am a person who does the hard things first every single morning as much as possible. Because in that way, because becoming a person that does things the hardest first, especially in the morning, is say early in the morning. You do, yeah, we wake up 5 a.m. Even though that's hard, you study for like 2 hours, 7 a.m., and then you work for another 2 hours online, maybe, okay, 9 a.m. But then you're good. Actually, your academics is good because you already studied for the day, and you've already, maybe gotten enough finance for that as well. Just working 2 hours online, and then whatever happens throughout the day, you're good. So that's why I'm trying to become a person who works hard first every single day. Yes. So I am starting now. I am a person who works hard at morning every single day. Start the things they should do, the things that really matter to me every single morning. Make it a priority. And after that, after our day is done, we're free to do whatever we want, right? We just gotta do this first. All right. We are that. We got this. Okay, so it is now day 5. Oh my god. We're actually now doing day 5. So it's a full hand now. We're day 5 at Relearning Atomic Habits by James Clear. So yeah, it is time check. It is 6:20 p.m. July 21. Yeah, I woke up at 1 p.m. I felt alright. I think I had like 7-8 hours of sleep, but I feel alright. Much better than my times of insomnia, hard insomnia. But so yeah, we are early today, which is awesome. Yeah, we got accepted by the one job we applied to, not really the one we're traveling to do, but we got accepted to one job. So at least we have part time now that we can do. My training starts tomorrow, but I have now, I can actually do it right now. So yeah, I have now a part time job, and we're early at reading. So what did we learn at day 4, Atomic Habits? So what we learned is that there are 4 components to habits, right? It is, I didn't, let me look into it. You know what? Let me look in the specific word he stated on. So it was let's just call it 4 components, right? So 4 components of habits, right? You have a cue, you have a craving. So your cue is your phone. You see your phone buzzing, that's your cue, and you crave to check out the message, and your response is that you check the message, check the email or check the message, and then response, CR. So response, and then your reward. You feel relieved now that you've seen that message. So that's the overall components of habits. And then the second thing to note, and now I've learned, is that you can actually be divided into 2. That's the problem and then the solution. Because as I've stated previously, I was at day 2. The habits are automatic solutions to problems you encounter in your life repeatedly. So right. So yeah. So habits, the 4 components can be further categorized into 2. What are those? Well, it's the problem and the solution. So the problem is that you have your cue that your phone is buzzing and you're craving to answer that. So that's your problem, because you want to find out what happens to the what happens, what if it's an emergency, or if something that's needed to be done. So yeah, that's the problem. And then the solution, that's incorporates your response as well as the reward. You check out the message, that's your solution to it, and you also get a reward. So that's part of it. So that's day 4. And what other things did we learn? Oh, we actually now discussed at the end of the chapter the 4 laws of behavior change. Now I remember. I forgot about this. I didn't really take into account the detail that the 4 laws for behavior change is actually the practical application for the 4 components of habits. So which means that it's just the 4 components of habits, but used in an application format so that you're able to apply it in your habits, into building habits, or to not forming or removing habits. So yeah, so first is that the cue. So cue, so you have to make it obvious. If you want to make any habit, you have to make it obvious. If you want to be able to run, for example, every single day, what you're gonna do is make an effort to make it obvious. So what you're gonna do maybe is that you put your shoes, you'd say maybe beside your bed, for example, like so that when you wake up, you see your shirts, and you remember that I have to run today, right? That's one of the things. So the component of craving, how does that compose into law? Well, you have to make it attractive. If you want to keep running every single day, what you need to do is that make it attractive for you. So what you're gonna do is that you're gonna make it so that it's fun. So you could actually just prepare the day before, what you'd like to wear, what you love to wear when it comes to running, your best shoes, maybe your best shirt for running, your best watch if you'd like that as well. So yeah, so make it attractive is the solution for the craving. How about the response? Well, the response is that you have to make it as easy as possible. So how can you do that? Well, you have to remove the obstacles in doing that task, because if you want to be able to run, you want to be able to make it easy. So right, so that you can easily respond to it. So for example, if you want to run, but then it's not easy for you because in your barangay it's dangerous, for example, or maybe like you don't have good running shoe, you don't even have shoes, so that's difficult for you, and you have to make anything that you can do to make it easy for you. So actually putting your shoes at the front of your bed actually makes it easy for you. Not only makes it obvious for you that you have to run today, but actually makes it easy for you because you get to remember it. So that's one of the things. How about reward? What's the component of that in translation to a law of behavior of forming habits, right? Of behavior change, actually calls it the 4 laws of behavior change. So yeah, when it comes to reward, you have to make it satisfying, right? Yeah, for example, running. Let's stay on track on our example. So how can we make running example? Why not you actually run towards a destination that you love, not just running aimlessly, but actually try to run, for example, to see the sunset, something, run to go to the park and see, animals, and see dogs, and see people, and see trees, everything you gotta do to make it as much as possible satisfying, and maybe after you run, how can you satisfy yourself? What kind of reward can you make? Or maybe you treat yourself with what you'd say, candy, just a max candy, for example, just a candy, because in that way it's just not really much calories, but you feel rewarded. You're like, I deserve this candy. It's just candy, it's less calories, but like you feel rewarded, so that's satisfaction. So yeah, that's one of the things you can do. So yeah, I didn't really think much of it actually back then, but yeah, it turns out the 4 laws of behavior change actually are just the practical application of the concept of the four components of habits. Yeah, it's awesome, bro. I'm learning a lot, and I'm hoping to incorporate on what I'm doing right now. So yeah, let's go. I'm gonna have to probably play guitar and then work, but we're gonna have to reflect after as well. How can we use this knowledge that we have onto making habits and not forming one? For example, I have actually a bad habit of like biting any pencil, any we call ball pen, right? That I use. It's formed like since I was elementary. So yeah, I want to remove that. So we're gonna incorporate the habit and document how it goes as well. So yeah, let's go. So yeah, I forgot as well. So one of the things I'm incorporating right now is that one of the things that could be affecting me, so that's why I'm getting distracted, is that I don't actually reward myself. Like what do we say? Well, I do like try to find a job, and then I try to do guitar, but I don't really reward myself after doing that. So that could be one of the reasons why I get procrastinated, because you know when I procrastinate or look at YouTube Reels or Facebook Reels, that's reward, and the thing I'm doing doesn't provide that. So I'm gonna make myself reward. So what I did right now is that after I did my guitar session, I just had to try, and I gave myself I gave myself a little bit of reward to make a new lock screen for my bias Malloy from Beanie, bro. I'm down bad. Don't fight me. But hey, yes, I did that, and I kind of want to do guitar more, because like there's a reward to it. So yeah, I gotta feed my brain that doing guitar is rewarding. But also, like, after I do the hard session, which I'm doing the book, which is practicing notes and practicing reading, which is actually requires surprisingly brain function, because not only do I have to like click with the right hand, move this, ECF, but actually I actually have to read the staff of the music, right? And I also have to use the correct picking, because I'm also practicing the correct picking techniques. It's requiring excuse me. Excuse me. So like it's requiring a lot of efforts, so it's difficult. So how do I counter that? Well, I can counter that by making it more fun. So yeah, after I'm doing a practice, I've just did my daily practice of guitar. Yeah, it's the same actually. It's 5 days strict of doing guitar, which is the same as relearning.
10 labs, which is the same trick as trying to find a part-time job, which would finally have applied to one and I got accepted to one at day 5. So both of those are my 5-day streak. And yeah, after I did, now I just did actually my daily what you call it, guitar lesson, I would like to say. So I'm just gonna do a song, that I like, Skadoooshh. Since we are now in day 5 of both reading and working and guitar music tricks, let's up it up. We have to up the difficulty, but also uh have a way. Yeah, we have to really up the difficulty so that we improved exponentially, but we also have to make it fun. So yeah, but the one thing to note is that we just gotta do it. We just gotta make it more difficult for now, though, so that we keep improving. Because yeah, the way I'm seeing it is just I wouldn't exponential level, but now it's straying down. If we want to really, for example, if I want to really be good at guitar, I gotta do the hard things, right? So yeah, I'm gonna do that. Let's go. I'm also gonna up my reading time, right? Hopefully I can finish the book, the Atomic Habit books, in the next 5 days as well. So let's go. So it is okay, day 6 of relearning atomic habits. So what we learned? Oh wait, time check. It is June 23, 6:56 a.m. I'm not actually early. I got distracted and I haven't actually slept. I'm gonna sleep after reading this and after doing guitar. But yeah, I got distracted playing games. And hopefully I can use what I learned no, I will use what I've learned to stop the problem with gaming. But yeah, what did we learn? So we learned that, how do you call it? We learned that point and calling. We learned about point and calling. Point and calling is one of the effective ways on to stopping a habit. Like you can do it immediately as well. Basically, if you're about to do something like a bad habit or even a good one, you could point and call. But it's usually, the way I read it is that they used it for uh, bad ones. It's a method that was used in Japan where they point and call. If like the door is checked, the people are red light is checked or not, they point and they call so that they are less likely to make mistakes. So how does that work when it comes to habits? Well, it makes you aware. If you state that I'm gonna use the phone to game, even though I don't need it, even though it's gonna ruin my focus. So by simply saying it, you're actually being, what do you call it, being more aware, and it seems more real, right? I've actually, it seems more heavy. It has more attachment because you won't say. It's hard to say out loud that you're gonna just game for 4 hours, right? If that's not the type of person you want to be. So yeah, I've actually learned this as well, that in my journey of like talking to myself, it actually really helped me to be of focus because when I talk to myself, I talk to myself that this is what I have to do, and I don't talk about things or not inclined to talk about things that I don't want to do, the distracting things. Basically, I don't say out loud that I want to game. What I say out loud is that I have to study for 4 hours, for example, and I have to finish a project, and I end up doing it actually by simply just stating it. It just has a lot of power when simply stating things like those. I didn't really think that it was a method as well. I just thought that, this worked. But anyways, yeah, that's one of the points for day 6, point and calling. So if I'm about to, yeah, just talk to myself, but it's a little bit more specific. I'm about to use my phone to do the doom scroll, even though it's gonna ruin my focus. I'm gonna say that what I'm about to do and the consequences of what I'm about to do, so that I don't do it. Now that I keep saying it, actually, yeah, it does kind of feel heavy. So yeah, I'm gonna use that as well because yeah, we haven't slept. It's just very bad. we're breaking out, our skin and our eyes are getting heavy. But hey, we just gotta do this. It's all on me. So yeah, that's point and calling. And that the second concept of the learning of the book is that, you know, our habits actually become unconscious, right? And it can be helpful and troublesome at the same time. But basically, you need to really consider that, your improvement could actually still be invisible, right? The cues for habits, uh, the progress can be invisible, is my interpretation of it. So yeah, you have to be very careful with it. So you have to be aware of your habits because they're invisible a little bit. I might be lacking sleep right now. I can't really articulate much, but yeah, that was the first lesson. Was the greatest one. Yeah, I'll stop it right there. But yeah, that's day 6. Oh, well, all right. It states right here. With enough practice, your brain will pick up the cues that predict certain outcomes without consciously thinking about it. So, what does it mean? Well, it means that your brain will pick up cues to try predict outcomes without actually you thinking about it. So that's basically what habit is, and actually, and a lot of no, it's about habit, isn't it? It's about a habit of, for example, what do you call it? Understand, the paramedic was talked about in this chapter was that she experienced a lot of experience on to people with heart problems, and so she was able to just see the face of her parent and then immediately distinguish, understand the cue, even though she didn't really consciously know what was wrong. She knew something was wrong deep inside, like just intuition. So that your brain can do that, and that's what kind of happens with cues as well. They're not really visible. Oh, that's the point, isn't it? The cues of your habits aren't usually visible, or actually are not actually conscious. So yeah, maybe I gotta really find a cue of where I keep uh what do you call it, gaming for a lot of hours and not stopping. Gotta find a true reason for that and a true cue. I gotta do that. So yeah, but for now I'm gonna do point and calling as well. So the process of behavior change always starts with awareness. Okay, we're gonna start with, yeah, but we're gonna do both today, point and calling, and we call it point and calling and hab uh, habit listing. Just writing down my habits. The two things that we'll do today. All right, it's day 6. Hey, it is day 7 of relearning atomic habits. So I guess, wait, hold up. Time check, it is 7:16, July 23 p.m. I woke up at like 5 p.m. because I slept late. But I'm feeling alright. I will sleep early today. But when? When is that? Well, time check, 7. So by 11 p.m., we're gonna have no more laptop, right? Anyways, so yeah, I'm also, that's me applying what I learned. But hey, yeah, so this is day 7. Hey, so this is day 7 of relearning atomic habits. So yeah, day 7, we're now learning about the implementation intention. Is that implementation intention? Was I correct? Hold up, I'll check. Okay, hold up. Yep, it is implementation intention. So what does it mean? It means that if you want to form a new habit, it's best to have a clear intention into it. An intention that you're actually gonna do it. So you're not gonna ask, are you gonna, for example, if you ask me, are you gonna work out today? I'm probably not gonna feel that I'm gonna work out. It's not gonna influence me. But if you say, hey sir, hey Ellie, when will you work out today? Suddenly I feel the urge that, oh yeah, I gotta work out today. I haven't worked out in the past 3 days, and I guess I gotta work out. When will I work out? Probably 4 p.m. And then you set yourself a clear time. So that's the power of implementation intention, is that it forces you to commit into an intention of doing that, or that you're already doing it. So a clear way to do this is, he states right here, when the situation X arises, I will perform a response Y. For example, instead of just like simply planning out the week on when you will work out, also add like at specific when. So for example, for me at 1 p.m. Tuesday, what was it, my schedule again? Let's just say Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. At 1 p.m. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I will work out at my home. So I'll just do calisthenics, pull-ups whenever I can do, and push-ups. So yeah, in that way, it's specific, it's clear. You don't have to push yourself to do it later or do it early. You think, oh, should I do it now or should I do it later? No, it's actually pre-planned. You're gonna do it at 1 p.m. every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So that's the power of implementation intention, is that it forces you to commit. That you're... Okay, we're back. I just had to do a test for my family, but we're back again. So yeah, that's implementation. Where were we? We were at implementation intention. So if you want to make a new habit clear so that you will do it as well, you have to make it so that... This just made it a little bit tilted. You have to make it so that it's very clear when you'll do it and where exactly you'll do it. So yeah. So for example, I'm reading consistently a book, but actually I don't have like a specific time and place. So how about this? A specific time for me to read will be before I start working or start studying, I read a book. How about that? So that in that way it's consistent. Right? Yeah, I think that's good. I think that will work for me. So yeah, before I study and work, specific time, let's say 9 a.m. Hopefully I can get that tomorrow. At 9 a.m. tomorrow, before I work and study or do guitar, I will have to read. At where? At here, to the bunker. Or if I go back to school and my PH, maybe back again to what do you call it? Just my bed or outside. I think it's not outside. Oh yeah. Okay. How about this? Outside is better for me. So yeah, let's change it up a bit. So before I work or study every single day, 9 a.m., I will have to read at an outside place so that I'm able to get sunlight, get my brain going, and get my circadian rhythm going as well. So yeah, so that's the power of implementation intention. But he talks about another thing. The second thing is the Diderot, was that Diderot effect? What was that? Hold on. It's the Diderot's effect. So basically, the Diderot's effect is the tendency for us to do another thing based on the thing that we are doing. For example, he actually, it's in here, it's about purchase, right? It's about purchase. So Diderot actually was poor, but then he became a little bit financially stable. He got money, and after he got money, he bought a robe, which was a scarlet robe, I think. But then he thought, "Whoa, this robe doesn't match my environment." So now instead of just buying a robe to make himself comfortable, he now bought a new chair. He now bought a new rug. He now bought other new things. So that's the tendency of the Diderot effect, which is actually, in his example, quite troublesome, because now he's spending a lot more, which wasn't
which might not actually have been his initial plan. So yeah, that's very important. And why is that? Well, you can use it in a positive light as well. Well, if how do you use it in a in a positive light? You can use it in a positive light by what we call habit stacking. So how habit stacking. So how habit stacking works is that you stack habits. So for example, when I wake up, I do my bed. When I wake up, I do my bed. Then I wash my face, skincare, healthcare, and then I usually eat, right? Then I eat, I cook sometimes. Then after I eat my vitamins, and then after that, it's not very clear. So what I can do is actually after I eat vitamins, I'm gonna read outside at 9 a.m. So yeah, you're gonna stack habits. So now they're 5. They're good behavior. They're 5. And after I read at Chiro, no. So after I read, that's 5 good habits. After I read, I'll immediately start working. That's 6 good habits for 2 hours from 9 a.m. to isn't it 3 hours? But let's say no, it's 9 a.m. Probably I'm gonna finish at 9 a.m. to 12 noon, right? So now that's 6. Because yeah, probably I'm gonna eat 9:30 and then like finish reading in 15 minutes. So I'm gonna have to 11 to 12 somewhere around that time. I'm gonna finish working. But yeah, that time. So that's 6. And now after I work, I'm immediately gonna habit stack another one of, for example, what you call doing music or doing guitar. In that way, if I'm having stacking, have habit stack for morning, habit stack for night, what ends up happening is that if I just keep on adding those habits, stacking them every single day, I try to add every single week, try to add a new good habit. What's up happening is that over time, bro, it's gonna be really powerful. So yeah, it's actually quite easy as well because the time is actually specific as well. Though it's not like it's 9 a.m. or 8 p.m. but like after I wash my face, I'm immediately gonna eat so that I have nutrients and drink water and drink my vitamins. So yeah, in that aspect, it's actually quite clear as well. Well, you know where you eat, you know where you drink vitamins. So yeah, I'm gonna incorporate habit stacking. Right now, point and calling as well. Before I use my phone, I actually forgot about it as well, didn't I? So before I use my phone, let's try to state out what are we gonna do with it, and maybe write that down as well. Because what I've learned is that when I write down when I say it loud, it makes me want to do it, and when I write it down, it makes me remember what I was doing, right? So I'm gonna start doing that, as well as habit stacking. So yeah, that's day 7 of relearning atomic habits. So let's go. Habit stacking is just what we'd state the positive version of the Diderot effect. You're using it in a positive light. That's what it is. So yeah. Yep, it is day 8 actually. Day 8 of relearning atomic habits. Time check, it is 2:32 p.m. July 24. So yeah, it is day 8 of atomic habits. Now we're getting closer to 2 hands. So yeah. So what did we learn? We previously we learned about implementation, intention, right? And it was about implementing a specific you call it laid out plan with intention into your habits, right? For example, I will do 10 push-ups at before I eat lunch at my desk, and that specific we call it specificity. I don't know, just I'll put the word here, but yeah, that makes it specific and clear, and in that way there's no ambiguity to it, and you just do it, So yeah, that's what we learned last time. But now we're learning about habit stacking, right? Which is, the formula goes like, after I do this habit, I will that habit, and it's just actually, if you think about it, it's just implementation intention, but then stacked, right? It's stacked into another habit. So what's the time on it? Well, the time is after I do that habit, I will do this habit. He states right here that habit stacking formula is after I do the current habit, I will do the new habit, because in that way, it's easy for you to remember it. It's part of your daily habits and easy to integrate, and it's quite useful. It's actually, but what I really loved about this part of the book is that his examples, because it's actually quite awesome. I'll read one to you. For example, he states right here. For example, meditation, I will meditate for 1 minute 7 a.m. in the kitchen. Studying, I will study Spanish for 20 minutes at 6 p.m. in my bedroom. Very specific. Again, what I'll do, where, and when, right? As for exercise, I will exercise, his examples right here. I will exercise for 1 hour at 5 p.m. in my local gym. Marriage is, I will make, see, his example for marriage actually, which is a very, very, for me, is essential, when you're going to a broad audience. But anyways, it says that for marriage, I will make a habit that I will make my partner a cup of tea at 8 a.m. time at in the kitchen. So yeah, very specific as well. So yeah, and then he actually has other examples here. For example, gratitude, right? Which is, after I sit down to dinner, I will say one thing: I'm grateful for what happened today. So he also has again another thing for marriage. Now, after I get into bed, I will give my partner a kiss. And what I've understood is that, and he also has something about safety as well, which really surprised me. A habit of safety could be like, after I put on my running shoes, I will text my friend or family member, where am I running and how long it ends, so that they're notified if ever something happens, or at least someone knows what happens in case something bad happens, which is really a good habit if you think about it. So yeah, it's honestly very great for me, because in my years of college, I've come to understood that the feeling, being kind, for example, is something you actually build. It's not something that's given to you. It's not something that just pops up. It's actually something you earn by acting. And habits are just those. They are just automatic actions onto your everyday life. And if you actually, let's state, make a habit to be kind. For example, what is, every time I buy from a store, I will say thank you. That's gratitude as well. One, kindness as well. So in that way, every single day you're doing that habit, and what ends up happening is that habit strengthens your identity of being kind, and being a gratitude kind of person. And so what's happening is that identity now is fortified, and now that fortified identity, excuse me, I'm studying. And now that fortified identity becomes a force, so that you do action. So yeah, it's reciprocal. It's just spinning around, giving you more force to become what it is. And honestly, yeah, it comes from the small things. You don't immediately become kind. You don't immediately, become this person who's greatly fulfilled or greatly have a feeling of gratitude for your life. It's something you do each day, to make an effort to, every single day. And once you make it a habit, it will just fortify itself, and you will just keep doing it, and it will fortify your identity as well. So yeah, it's beautiful, because the way I see it is that he has examples for character, we call it, and relationships as well. Marriage, of course, marriages stand, and relationship, I'd state, it stands in a lot of small things as well. Small things that, if your partner is hungry, you give them, you cook them food. If now he says right here, now every bed at night he'll give her partner a kiss. And I think that's very essential when it comes to relationships, because it shows them every single day that you value them, and you really do care for them and love them. And those small things is what will help big time in the long run in your relationship. And that's something I've learned as well. So yeah, it's really beautiful. I really like the example. I'll
I'll make sure to write this down. The safety habit he has here, which is after running, after I put on my running shoes, I'll text my friend and family where I'm running, because I often, even in school, I go to a lot of places, right? I go to the gym. Sometimes I go to Baiba, and no one actually knows where I'm going. I don't really tell anyone, and I think that's bad, because what if I get lost? What if I get kidnapped? Hopefully not. But yeah, it's just really, this is a really good habit, And for example, marriage. If you're a married person, this habit that after I go into bed, after I get into bed, I will give my partner a kiss, bro. That will help you big time. I'll tell you now. It's those little things that actually really matter, because if you keep doing these little things over time, bro, your marriage will just hold off, for example, not only do you do kiss at night, every morning you make them a cup of coffee, you make time for every single day to talk for them for at least 20 minutes. That's small. 20 minutes, honestly, it's just like an episode of anime. But then you give them time every single day. You make that a priority. That will push your marriage, your relationship, for a lot longer time. You know. So yeah, it's really amazing. And yeah. So now, okay. So now let's reflect onto what we learned. All right, we'll get a notebook. We're gonna have to work out quite a while, but we'll get our notebook. Hold on. Okay, so we got distracted yesterday, and what we're gonna do is understand why, right? So one of the reasons I understand. Ooh, look at the sky! It's beautiful, bro. Hold up. Hopefully you guys can see that. Yeah, it's a beautiful day. We might have not gotten the best sleep, but we're doing all right. So yeah, we'll reflect now on why we got distracted yesterday. Well, one of the factors I would state is that I actually didn't put a timer. Even though I stated that I will, work for like a 10 p.m. only, I ended up not giving it any timer. I just wrote something in my arm, but then I didn't see it, and then I forgot about it. So yeah, I'll do right now a timer onto how much I work, how much time I'll give into task, right? So in that way I remember, and after a timer, how much time I'll do in a task, and after that I'm done. I'm not going to do it continuously. I'm gonna have to do another thing, then I can come back to it, right? Okay, and that way it forces me to really value the time that I've given it, and to keep myself moving. I think this hopefully this will actually push me to do it, not get distracted anymore. But one of the things we could do is actually our phone. Actually yesterday, we thought that it's okay. I think we can push ourselves to not use our phone, but we ended up using it, bro. We just like use our phone, and then things kind of got were there. We just started ourselves out. It's okay to watch one YouTube video, and then one YouTube video turned into 10, into 20, and we ended up wasting 2 hours probably of our time doing that, which is very bad. Could have used that time to work, or maybe do workout. Anyways, yeah, what we're gonna do is, when we're working, we're gonna put this phone. So we're not gonna film ourselves, because currently we really need to work and push ourselves to work. So we're gonna put our phone some other place, right? Not in there, and then we start working, right? And then not only that, we also put a timer on the task that we're gonna do, a list and timer. So we're gonna call it list plus timer. So we're gonna list the things that we're gonna do. For example, I'm gonna use the laptop. I'm gonna use Messenger for 20 minutes to check if there are any news for leadership, my leadership role, and I'm gonna give 20 minutes to learning the guitar, for example, and then I'm gonna give 2 hours for work, for example, that type of task, so that I can X them and I can actually see your progress, and I don't forget. All right, let's start with that. All right, we're gonna work. So yeah, it's 2:43. Let's go. Skadoosh. It is 2:20 a.m. We've managed to upload one thing for our job, so I think we're good with that, with our part-time actually. But yeah, it's 2:20. We got distracted still. That's why we're sleeping late. But yeah, we just washed our face, and we're gonna brush our teeth, and then we're good. So we're probably gonna sleep at 3 or close to 4, somewhere around there. So good night. See you, Tom.
Oh, howdy. Okay, it is day 9 of Relearning Atomic Habits by James Clear. Okay, we're almost at a full hand now. Oh my god, it's a full hand. Almost. It is July 25, 5 p.m. So yeah, day 9, what did we learn? Last time we learned about uh, intention, right? I forgot what was it called? The blank intention. Wait, what was it again? All right, yeah, implementation intention, wherein we understood that having a specific and clear plan in your habits is actually very vital. Okay, so it's actually called implementation intentions with an S. So yeah, it's really crucial because vagueness is an enemy of action. So you have to get specific to increase the chance of making something happen. So in building your own habits, you build it in this format. I will do blank. I will do blank at time in location. So how does that look like? For example, you don't say, oh yeah, I'll definitely be voting this time. You'll say, I'll vote due on Tuesday, the time at 5 p.m. Be greatly specific. So time, very specific. And location, where is it? So I'll get the D bus straight from work. So that's how and where, which is very crucial. Because what ends up happening is that when you do implementation intentions, what ends up happening is that you don't think on when to do it. It's already there. So you don't think, oh, should I do it now so that I don't have to do it later? Or you don't think that, oh, I should probably do it later because I have to do this first. You don't think that. Immediately at 5 p.m. goes, you immediately push yourself to do it. That's implementation intentions. And I'll give one more example for the video. Yeah. You know, if you want to start working out, you're gonna have to set a clear time and place. For example, in my state, I work out every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 1 p.m. at home. So I'm gonna just at home because I'm trying to save money. So yeah, we're just gonna do calisthenics. So that's something that you can do as well. Implementation intention, wherein you put a time and place, right? It was our day 8, and we also understood something about habit stacking, wherein it's a modified form of implementation intention, wherein it's looks like this. It's after I do this habit, I will do this. So the form of the implementation intention is that I will do this behavior at time in blank location. So yeah, but then habit stacking is just a modified version of that, wherein you just after I do current habit, I will blank habit. For example, after I wash my face, I eat. Then after I eat, I immediately read the Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's greatly powerful because it allows you to tie in your good behavior to the cues that already exist in your life. So it's greatly powerful. You can try it out. So yeah, now we are understanding how environment builds your habits. So in this chapter, motivation is underrated. Oh, okay. Motivation is overrated. Environment often matters more. So what it states is that when it comes to habits that you want to form in your life, you're gonna have to think more onto how you can change your environment. How so? How important is that? Well, they actually did a study. They did a study where in a hospital, I think, they wanted the people working there, or people there, to be more healthy. So what they did is that they did a study wherein before there were only 2 places to get water. What they did is that in the cafeteria they simply increased the places where it had water, the shaded places, right? There's more. So what ended up happening is that without talking to the patients or without talking to the staff, the amount of people that used water actually increased, and the amount of people that purchased soda actually decreased. So it states right here that
Over the next 3 months, the number of soda sales at the hospital dropped by 11.4%. Soda sales dropped by 11.4% in just 3 months, without doing anything, without really talking to the people, just changing the environment. And meanwhile, the sales of the bottled water increased by 25.8%. They made similar adjustments and saw similar results with the food in the cafeteria. So yeah, what it means is that, bro, it's really powerful to shape your environment. And one of the examples he states right here is that how a lot of business is actually structured in a way that shapes the environment for you to be inclined to purchase more, right? For example, usually when you go to a supermarket as a family, you're there to buy food, right? You're there to buy meat. But what do businesses usually do? Supermarkets, for example, what they do is that motorcycle. Okay, so what they do is that they put the essentials like I could say milk and meat and fruits at the very back of the supermarket, so that you see more things at the front. And what ends up happening in our brain is that we actually create a need for the things that we see, right? Okay, hold up. I actually have something to add. So, motorcycles. It's alright, that's alright. So yeah, what I have to add is that changing your environment is greatly powerful because it focuses on your perception of sight, which is your eyes, basically. And why is that greatly powerful? Because of all human sensory abilities, vision is the most powerful. The human body has about 11 million sensory receptors, and about approximately 10 million of those are dedicated to sight. What does it say? So some experts estimate that half of the brain's resources are used on vision. So that's why changing your environment so that you're able to see more fruits, so that you eat healthy, or see more books so that you remember to read, or see more your laptop so that you remember to study, is greatly powerful because our brain processes greatly on our sight, right? 10 million of our 11 million receptors, and then 10 million of those are just for sight, which means that we rely on it a lot, whether that be behavior change or simply just doing things. You see more things at the front. And what ends up happening in our brain is that we actually create a need for the things that we see, right? We see, for example, a pile of candy, and we think that we didn't really plan on buying that, but we think that, hold up, I think I should buy this as well because like it's a great snack for the kids, for example. But then at the first place, you didn't actually need it. So that's the power of environment. It shapes a lot of. It shapes. Excuse me, I'm having a hard time. So your environment shapes your behavior by a lot because it provides cues into behaviors, right? So why did this work without even talking? Why did the changes in the environment work? Why was it greatly effective even though they didn't talk to the staff, they didn't talk to the people? Well, simply because there were more cues to drink water. And when people see, hey, there's a water bottle. Oh yeah, I forgot I haven't drank water in like 2 hours. I should probably drink water. That increases your percentage to buy water. So if you could what he states right here, the changes you could make is that change your environment so that the cues for your good behavior are, many. Because in that way, it increases the chances of you actually doing the new habit or new behavior that we want to include, right? For example, in my case, I wanted to read Atomic Habits
every time every what do you call it, every time I wake up, like I wanted to make a priority, but I actually forgot about this. I tried actually for 2 days, I think, was it 2 days straight. I actually just simply put my phone under the book. So whether I check the time when I wake up, I'll have to see the book first, so that I have the cue to understand that, hey, I actually have to read first before doing anything else. So yeah, if you could, for example, if you wanted to eat more healthy, so, or drink more water, it's the same example. We gotta find another example. What's another example? Say for example you want to lose weight, so what you're gonna do is change your environment to do that. For example, you buy less high calorie food or less cookies and buy more healthy foods, and or you could also put the healthy foods like apples, bananas, which are actually very OP to me, I love them. You put them in a place wherein it's visible, right? And that way every time you go into your house, you can remember to eat the fruit because it's healthy. Yeah, not because you planned it, but because it's healthy. And then what ends up happening is that, you end up doing that good behavior over time, and that makes up your identity. Now you're a healthy person. So yeah, those little changes matter. So yeah, environment is actually greatly OP. I actually forgot about this one. Like the value of it is absolutely awesome. So yeah, it states right here, if you want to, for example, if you want to remember, take your medication each night. Put your pill bottle directly next to the faucet on the bathroom counter, so that when after you eat, you wash your face, you brush your teeth, you remember, oh, hold up, I actually haven't taken my medication. So yeah, for example, if you want to practice the guitar, which I've been consistently trying to do more frequently, place your guitar stand in the middle of the living room. Because every time you wake up, oh, you see your guitar, oh, hold up, I actually have to do guitar today. So yeah, if you want to drink more water, as he states right here, fill up a few more water bottles each morning and place them in common locations around the house, right? So yeah, it's actually awesome that, how powerful environment is in our life, but it's actually still also quite threatening as well, because there's a lot of behaviors that are not of us, not made by us, right, but shaped by our environment. So for the last learning, let's stay right here for day 9. Okay, environment design allows you, excuse me, a little bit tilted. Okay, environment design allows you to take back control and become the architect of your life. So be the designer of your world and not merely the consumer of it. So yeah, that's day 9 of Relearning Atomic Habits. Bro, it's greatly powerful. I'll have to reflect today as well. But yeah, I'll upload this video today because I got inspired by my friend, great guy. Even if you're watching this, inspiration, my dudes. So yeah, Relearning Atomic Habits. This is day 9. Atomic Habits by James Clear. You should read it. It's pretty powerful. And Skadooshh. So after I read the book, I'll also post the summary of all the learnings I've learned of the book, so that I'm able to fortify my learnings of it, my understanding of it, and teach you guys as well what I've learned. So yeah, stay tuned and Skadooshh. Let's just get to it. Okay, so it is 7:22 p.m. July 26. Yep, July 26, and this is day 10 of Relearning Atomic Habits by James Clear. Day 10. Okay, so we know it's day 10. It's should be happy, but I'm not that happy because I slept for I think an hour, 2 hours maybe. Honestly, probably less. And we also got distracted. We used Chrome for 9 hours. We actually just binged watch anime ReZero for 9 hours straight. It was bad because I ended up choosing to just watch instead of calming myself and sleeping, which is a very bad choice. So yeah, but let's get to it still. Day 10, relearn. So yeah, okay. So day 10. So day 9 we learned about how environment change or shapes us, right? But the thing about environment is it can encompass not just our sight, but also our smell, our feels of the touch, and our hearing. But there's also what we call the social situation that we're in, right? So what's that? That's what everything, the environment, and every aspect of those, plus the social environment we are in, or I'm lost for words. My brain is not working absolutely. So the environment, which encompasses, both sight, hearing, and feelings, plus the social place that you're in, just for the lack of a better word, is what we call context. And context is the cue. Why is that? Because and no. James Clear states that in the book, context is the cue. And let's break that down. What I've learned is that of okay, what? Okay, what we've learned is that what we've learned is that different people have different contexts in the same environment. That's also one of the things, right? The couch could be a place for you to chill out and watch TV, but for another person, it could be the place where they play games. For another person, it could be just the place that they read, and so they associated that place with the context of reading, right? So that's their context is the cue. So that's one of the things he talks about. But and so different I guess I'll stop right there. I haven't digested the information yet. Hopefully tomorrow I'll be able to just digest it. I've been like reading this for like 40 minutes now. It's just very hard for my brain to process right now. Probably because of the lack of sleep, but let's try to go with it. So the two main points that I'm taking away from it, I wrote it down, that are practical, is that one of the things, because environment shapes us, is of course one of the things to make us have a positive impact easily is that simply changing your environment, right? So, for example, because you always shop at the same supermarket and you shop like automatically, you grab things and without really thinking consciously, deeply, the things you buy because you bought at the same supermarket for let's say 8 years. So you just unconsciously or subconsciously buy a bag of chips, let's say Pringles. It's not a bag of chips, isn't it? But yeah, for example, you buy Pringles and you didn't really think about it, and that's become your habit. And every time you go to the supermarket, you buy Pringles. And now what you can do is actually go to a new environment. Go to a different supermarket, and that way, everything is novel, and there's no competing cues. Actually, there's no competing cues in the environment for the thing that you want to achieve, right? There's no cue in your brain, subconscious cue in your brain that to tell you that to put your arm on to grab this at this aisle because to grab the Pringles. No, because it's a new environment and there's no cue whatsoever telling you to do anything. So that's one of the things that you can do because environment shapes us. One of the things you can do is simply just like that, change your environment if you can. It's one of the positive things that you can do if you can. But the same note practical thing I put into this day 10 is that one environment equals one use. I forgot what he states here. Let's look at what's his actual words. Those are my words, but let's look at his words. I forgot what he stated here. Okay, one space, one use. He actually states that. But in one space, one use, you can use it in two aspects: the digital and the physicals is what I've divided it into. Because you can use your environment. You can use one space, one use, or one environment, one use, in, dividing your living space. For example, you read at a chair you have outside. That's the only chair. That chair is only used for reading, for example, in that place. Or you only play games. I watch TV at the couch, and you always only uh, brush your teeth in the restroom, basically, and you only study in a specific room. What happens is that when you have a single environment for one use, if you keep just doing that for an extended period of time, what ends up happening is your brain associates that environment so greatly in that one specific activity that it just ends up pushing you to do that without great effort and without much thought, because it's now become a habit. So that's one of the powerful things you can do, making one environment one use. So as I stated, you cannot only use it in the physical world, but also your digital space as well. You can, for example, in if you use Chrome, like me, for a lot of stuff, for searching YouTube, searching metronome, watching dictionary, searching words for dictionary, but also like being distracted, watching anime in that space. So what you can do is actually divide that. You can have specific apps so that there's no competing queue. I actually downloaded my Webster app so that when I go to the Chrome, because when I go to Chrome and try to search, sometimes I get to searches, but sometimes I get distracted because I open a tab and then it already has something on it, so I get distracted reading that. So yeah, there's competing cues in it as well, because I use the Chrome to watch, to chill, for information, to ask advice, stuff like those. So one of the things you can do is just provide a different environment for that specific use. So I use now a dictionary, and I actually downloaded as well a metronome for my guitar playing. So yeah, I've actually recently used to search the context as well, and I think it's working. I've used the list and timer, but anyways, list and timer is another topic. But yeah, for example, in your phone, so one of the digital devices. Okay, let's take two. So as I've stated, you can use one environment, one use, or as it states here, one space, one use, into two aspects: your digital and your physical. So physical, we've done it. You just provide different spaces or different different spaces for different activities, so that your brain associates that, and that becomes a habit much more easily, right? One of the things you can do as well, actually incorporate that in your phone usage or device, right? You're gonna have, for example, a laptop just for studying. You're not gonna use it in anything else. Though it might be nice to use it for like watching, because that's a bigger screen. But if you incorporate that your laptop is just for studying, and your phone is what you use for watching movies, for example, what's ends up gonna happen is that once you just force yourself to just pick up a laptop, and you've made a habit that for 30 days you just use your laptop for studying, what ends up happening is that you just it just doesn't feel right for you to watch a movie. It feels more natural for you to just use the laptop for studying, because now that's subconsciously okay. It's alright, sir. It's alright. Because now subconsciously your brain thinks that this is just for studying. We just use the device for studying. If you use it for something else, it just feels wrong, So that's what is the power of also having one environment, one use for different devices or your digital space as well. So for example, again, like you use your tablet for reading, you use your phone for watching K-drama or movies, and you only use your laptop for studying. And that's one thing you can do. But you could also do what I'm doing now, which is in anything that has multiple cues competing, you can actually just divide that still, into one environment, one use. For example, a digital app I have is Chrome that has different uses for me. I use it for information. I use it for entertainment. I go to read manga there. I go to watch anime there. I go to watch movies there. I go to watch YouTube actually there. I use Chrome for YouTube. It might be weird for that, but yeah, I use that for information. I use that for searching words, for example. Yeah, so it's just a lot of competing cues, and if I just it's just a lot of competing cues, and when I enter Chrome, even if I have like a single objective, it's just there's a lot of cues competing, so there's a bigger chance for me to get distracted. So right now, what I've incorporated is that I've downloaded just right now, this today, I've downloaded a different app for dictionary. I've downloaded Merriam-Webster, and I've also downloaded a metronome so that I don't have to search on Google a metronome or on YouTube a metronome. So yeah, right now I used Merriam-Webster to search a word. What's the meaning of context? So context means in synonyms, it states environment or setting. So for me, in my understanding of the book, it's just context means both the environment and the setting, the social setting that could be as well. So yeah, setting, context, environment plus social setting, context. But yeah, that's that. And I guess that's day 10. It's not really well structured. I was planning on making it shorter now. So I really tried to brainstorm, but my brain is really not working. I really tried to make it like less than 10 minutes, but I guess that's that. So that's my two learnings. First is that, one of the things you can do is just simply you're changing your environment so that you can build more new habits on that more easily. There's no competing cues. Two is that you use one environment for one use. It's redundant. I mean, one environment for one use or one space for one use, both your physical and digital spaces. So yeah, if you can do that, that would greatly help. So, oh wait, actually, you know what? I'll leave it. I'll leave it right there. So, all right. Good night, Skadoosh. Hello. It's now day 11 of Relearning Atomic Habits by James Clear. We continued off from where we learned last day 10, which is, in how environment shapes you still, but right now we're focusing on the secret of self-control. So let's go. This is day 11. I'll look it up in notes. I'm trying to find it. Okay, we found it. So the secret of self-control is simply your environment. And to explain that, let's delve into a story. So it's a study from a group of people that went to war. Was it that? You know what? Well, let's try to make that a little bit better. So it was so it was a study about a group of people who were on war, and then the group of, I don't know what do you call it. No, I'm just gonna look into it, explain it to you guys. So it was a study in the Vietnam War where they found out that 15% of the U.S. United States soldiers stationed there were heroin addicts, and follow-up research revealed that 35% of the service members in Vietnam had tried heroin, and as many as 20% were addicted. the problem was, even worse than they had initially thought. So basically, they tried to look at the people in the war, and then they saw that there's a super great percentage of people who are doing heroin. So what could be the problem? What could be the cause, and what could be the solution? So they took that out. They tried to find it, and so what they found out was that though the percentage of people that were addicted or used heroin when they went to war was greatly big, right? But when they went home, the percentage actually greatly decreased. It states here that uh, after returning home, about 5% of them became re-addicted within a year, and just 12% relapse. 12% just relapse within 3 years. So in other words, approximately 9 out of 10 soldiers who used heroin in Vietnam in the war eliminated their addiction nearly overnight. And how is that? It is explained by environment. So why it happened is simply because the environment in Vietnam War was stressful. You're going to war, you don't know if you're gonna die tomorrow. So they use that as a means to relieve stress. And over there as well in their environment is that a lot of people used heroin as well, and so some of their friends might have used heroin and they were encouraged to use heroin. So that really played a big part onto why they became addicted onto heroin, right? It was their environment greatly, the people there, the situation, and the overall context over there. So yeah, that's one of the reasons. And when they went home, the cues for that bad habit, that addiction, which is heroin addiction, were gone. There were no teammates of them from fellow soldiers of them. There were no fellow soldiers telling them, hey, you should do heroin or something like that. And there was not much stress of the war. They were back home. So the cues that happened in that environment were gone in this new environment. They went back home and they went back to their individual homes, and there were no cues for that. And so since there were no cues, they didn't do it. It's simple as that. So that's the power of environment, because it is the secret into self-control. Another example, so the opposite of this, so basically the opposite of this is what happens in rehab. So in rehab, what ends up happening as well is that they come from a place wherein there's a lot of cues, for example, to still use heroin. For example, let's use the heroin example still. And because their stress of their environment, for example, it's stressful there. A lot of people are dying in their specific environment. Maybe a lot of friends at their neighborhood also use heroin, and it's stressful for them. And so there's a lot of cues in their environment that push them to use heroin, and that's one of the reasons they got addicted. But now, when they go to rehab, what ends up happening is that there's minimal, greatly to zero percentage of cues that push them to use heroin. So what ends up happening is that in rehab, their addiction declines to close to zero, but then they relapse immediately when they come back in their environment. Why is that? Because their environment was where it actually happened. There were a lot of cues pushing them to use heroin. So that's a part of the environment. So the first example, the research of the Vietnam War, is that their environment where there were a lot of cues to use them for heroin, but then they got back home. But then there were minimal cues to use heroin, and so they didn't use heroin. They become no longer addicted. But what ends up happening in rehab is that there's minimal cues for addiction because they're in a rehab facility. But then when they get back home to their actual environment where they live, there's a lot of cues. And so what's happening is that they drop to zero. When they got back home, they just immediately relapse, and now they're become addicted again. So yeah, that's one of the powers of environment. It's greatly, greatly powerful. It's a double-edged sword, but you can use it for a positive impact. So yeah, and another example he states as well is that self one thing is he also states as well is that once a habit is formed, it is unlikely to be forgotten. An example of him here is that there was a girl who smoked whenever she ride horses with her friend, and so for over a few years, maybe 3+ years, I forgot in the book, but she didn't smoke. She didn't smoke for a while, but then when she rode a horse, the craving to smoke were actually very prominent. She stated, "Oh, I suddenly had a craving to smoke for like a very long time." So yeah, once a habit is formed, it is unlikely to be forgotten. So yeah, it's a little bit scary, but yeah, that's out there. So yeah, the secret to self-control is making your cues for your good habits obvious, which is the first law of behavior change. And you also have to make the cues for your bad habits invisible. So how can we do that? Okay, see, he actually has examples right here. I'll give some. Okay. For example, if you can't seem to get any work done, leave your phone in another room for a few hours. Actually, I've actually done this, and when it comes to studying and when it comes to reading, I put my phone in another place or in a drawer, and it actually really helps. I don't think about it. Since I don't see it, I'm able to focus. Okay, so it actually has another example. So if you're continually feeling like you're not enough, maybe stop following social media influencers or accounts that trigger your jealousy and envy. Make your digital environment as well something that gets you inspired, not something that makes you feel bad. So yeah, make those bad emotions invisible as well. So yeah, if you're wasting too much time watching television, for example, maybe move the TV out of the bedroom. It's one of the things you can do if that happens. So if you're spending too much money on electronics, maybe quit reading reviews on the latest tech gear. So if you're spending too much money on electronics, how about quit reading reviews on the latest tech gear. So yeah, if you're playing too many video games, for example, you could try unplugging the console and then put it in a closet after each use, so that you don't see it, and it's hard for you to see it, and then it's hard for you to remember it, and so the cue is quite hard. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. So yeah, that is the secret to self-control. Just make your cues for your good habits greatly obvious. Like I stated on, was it day 9? I think it was day 9. That if you want to eat more healthy, what you can do is buy more healthy foods in your house, but also disperse healthy foods in your house so that you're able to see it more and you're able to eat more. But what you can also do is the inverse of the first law of behavior change. Other than making it obvious, you make the cue invisible for the habits that you want to remove. So yeah, that's it. Okay, I have something to add as well for the two examples of soldiers where there's a lot of cues, and then they went back home, there was less cues, and then for the rehab there's less cues, and then there's more cues when they get back home. Is that what I have to add to that is that if you're it's hard to focus in an environment that has a lot of interruptions, and a lot of temptation. So again, you can make an effort to really push through that your environment is something that helps you, not something that's against you. So yeah, I think that's all in day 11. Just focus on your environment, because you actually stated here as well that a lot of focused people aren't actually that different from people that are really distracted. It's just that their environment is structured in a way that are good for them. Maybe they have a single space, like a single room for just working, and they have different space for watching TV, for example, stuff like this. So yeah, that's day 11 of Relearning Atomic Habits by James Clear. Skadoosh. Okay, we did it in I think less than 10 minutes. So last note would be that self-control is a short-term solution, is what James Clear states in the book. Because if you have to muster the courage, the discipline, the strength to do the right thing, for example, studying every single day, it's not gonna work out because you're consciously giving effort. It requires more effort to think, to just I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to study, rather than making your environment so that you do study. Because in the long run, we become products of our environment. So self control is just a short term solution. What you can do is just shape your environment so that it works for you rather than against you. So if you want to read a book every night, you could consider living the book every time you do your bed, after you do your bed, after you wake up, so that when you go back to your bed, you see you have a book and you read it. You read it. So if you want to study every morning, for example, make it so that you see your laptop first, the thing that you use for studying first every morning, and maybe put your phone in a drawer so that you see that last every morning. So yeah, that's one of the things you can do. So that's all. That's honestly all. The secret for self-control is just making your environment so that the cues for the good ones are greatly obvious, and the cues for the negative habits, the bad ones, are close to invisible. So yeah, the 11 and Skadooshh. Bro, it is day 12 of Relearning Atomic Habits by James Clear. We are now at the second law of behavior change, which is make it attractive. Okay, we got this. So what did we learn? What did we learn? I don't know. I'm kidding. Hold up. I'm gonna keep this quick because I'm gonna have to work out just after this. So let's go. Anyways, where was we? So yeah, this book talks about attractiveness when it comes to behavior change. And why is that? Well, because in the world we live in today, there's what we call supernormal stimuli. So supernormal is the instance wherein it's a enhanced version of what would normally happen or of reality. So he explains it in this aspect. So they had studied seagulls, types of gulls in North America, who had red dots in their beak for the mom, right? And what happens when the kids really want food is that they hack the beak of their mother, which is that red dot. So what happens if you provide them with quite of a similar stimuli, but expounded? So what they did is that they made a mannequin with the same beak, just to set first, and the same size of dot. And sure enough, the baby chicks pecked hard on that. But then when they changed the peck to like a bigger red dot, what happened is that the chicks actually pecked quite harder as well. So that was quite surprising for them. And then when they actually put 3 red dots instead of just 1, bro, the chicks, the little baby seagulls, went crazy, bro. I tell you now, that's what the book states, my interpretation of it. But yeah, that's that. So that's what we call supernormal stimuli. Supernormal, what's that? Am I correct? Yeah, it's supernormal stimuli. And when, for another example, is like how certain, I think, ground-laying ducks, was it, or was it a goose? When their eggs would fall from their nest, they would just roll them back over to their ground nest, right? So what ends up happening if you provide them with a bigger round ball? Well, actually, what ends up happening is that their brains go crazy and they work very hard to put the volleyball in their nesting ground, and they think that's an egg. But the point of the whole supernormal stimuli is that we live in a world wherein it is greatly enhanced version of what would normally our ancestors would. So we have the brains of our ancestors. Hold up, motorcycle. Anyways, where were we? We were at supernormal stimuli, right? So yeah, we live in a world where there's a lot of supernormal stimuli, and it's difficult because our brains are still the same as our ancestors, but then we, experience a lot more temptations than they do, and also of greater magnitude, like supernormal stimuli. So, for example, junk foods. Our brains still crave, salt, sugar, and high calories and fats as well, because it was when we were living in Saharas. It was great to just it was essential. Those food were high in caloric. There were electrolytes that needed for the body, were very essential. So our brain craved those. But what ends up happening is that junk food have a lot of salts, might have a lot of sugar, and so our brain goes crazy, and it's difficult to stop. That's one of the reason, because it's greatly attractive for our brain. A what do you call it? Motorcycle with music passed by. It was awesome. Love the music. Okay, where were we? Continue. Okay, we were at supernormal stimuli. So that's it. It's basically that we live in a world wherein stimuli is far greater than our ancestors. So let's look at example. I'll state examples so that you can greatly understand it more. So for example, for natural and unprocessed foods, what's up happening is, for natural and unprocessed foods, for natural and, take two. So for natural and unprocessed foods, you tend to experience the same sensation over and over again. So that's what happens. And so you get bored of it, right? So how's the seventh bite of he said scale taste? But for our example, like adobo or like inununan. So what ends up happening is that your 17th bite wouldn't actually your 17th bite wouldn't be as delicious as the first 10. So yeah, we get yeah, our brain loses interest and you begin to feel full. But foods that are high in dynamic contrast, like what we have today, keep the experience novel and interesting, encouraging you to eat more. For example, like in a cookie, it's crunchy and creamy on the inside. A French fry is like crispy and very creamy on the inside, salty and delicious. There's a lot of sensations going on. How about a pizza? Pizza is like a cheesy melting toppings with a lot of different kinds of food on top of it, like tomato, mushrooms, and then like a very crunchy crust. So our brain goes crazy for that. Now, we didn't have that food like centuries ago. Now we do, and our brain goes crazy for it. And that's why it's difficult to stop, because it's attractive for our brain. It's what we call a form of supernatural stimuli. So yeah, that's one of the concepts of here. What else are there in here? Let's try to kind of this. He also talks about here. No. Let's continue. So yeah. The more attractive an opportunity is for your brain, the more likely it is to become habit forming. And habits are actually, second point, dopamine driven, or what we'd say a dopamine driven feedback loop. So when dopamine rises, so does our motivation to act. So when we sense our wanting parts of our brain are greater than the liking parts of our brain. So what ends up happening is that our craving is far much greater than actually liking or doing it. Is that correct? Correct me if I'm wrong. Hopefully I'll correct myself. And then the summary video for all the things I've learned in this book. But that's that for now, It's just dopamine driven, and when you before you do a thing and you want to do it, you actually have a rush of dopamine, just like that, and it makes you do. And what that means is that in in the things that in habits that we do, it's dopamine is an essential part of it, because it's not only part of motivation, but it really does provide you with the will to act. And they did this with a study of rats. And what they did is that first is that they inhibited the dopamine receptors of the brain of rats. And what happened is that they just lost the will to live, and they didn't they didn't eat, they didn't procreate, they didn't socialize, they just did nothing. They had no dopamine, and so they had no will to act. But what they did on the second part is that it was the same rats, like blocked dopamine receptors, but then what ended up happening is that they gave them very tasty watery sugar, something that they could drink, or sprayed it on them, I think it was the term. And what ended up happening is that they actually still liked it. So surprisingly enough, they still liked it, but they didn't want it as long as when it was not blocked. So yeah, I'm not so sure of the implications of that. Not yet. I haven't really internalized that one, but I'm gonna put it out there as well. All right, so I'll have to think about that. So yeah, that's one of the things. So okay. Oh, it says here actually. It is the anticipation and it is the. It keeps turning off. Do any of you know how to fix this? My phone just. I don't know. Like I've looked onto the settings to not turn off for like 30 minutes. I think I'm gonna have to double check. But like, I think I pressed that one option and then it just keeps turning off when I make the video. So I have to click it all the time. But anyways, continue. I have to click. It states that the what the hell? It states that It states that the anticipation of a reward, not the fulfillment of it, that gets us to take action. Let's read that again. The anticipation of a reward, not the fulfillment of it, that gets us to take the action. So basically, thinking about the reward makes us do action. So I guess reflect on things and like really think what would be the reward for you if you do that particular thing that you want or need. For example, if you study, then you get to relax more and not get stressed when you play, for example. So one of the rewards you can think of, or you could like give yourself a cookie every time you studied, for example, or a candy. I guess that's awesome as well, because in that aspect, because it states here, the anticipation of reward. The simple act of us wanting the reward or thinking about the rewards of an action is what actually pushes us to do the act, and I think that's crucial. I'll have to reflect on that as well. Let it delve into my inner parts of my brain, let it digest and fully take in. Anyways, yeah. So what are the practical implications of the book? So this is the third part, the last part. Well, you can do what he states here is temptation bundling to make your habits more attractive. So the strategy is to pair an action you want to do with action you need to do. It's simple. Okay, it's simple. It is. Okay, the formula is that, for example, after temptation bundling as a concept is actually simple, but there's depths into it, so I'll explain now. So it keeps turning off, man. Someone help me out. No, it's alright. I'll have to do this later. Okay, so temptation bundling, part third subtopic, is it? Anyways, so you just bundle temptations and the things that you need to do, right? A great example states here is that one engineering dude, watched Netflix a lot, and he also understood that he had like very little physical activity throughout the week or throughout the day. Sir, be careful. I hope you drive safe. Hope you're alright. Drive safe, yo. Drive safe, yo. Okay. So yeah, temptation bundling. What he did is that, he knew he watched Netflix a lot, and he worked. He did physical activity very little. So what he did is that he made a device wherein it would only run if he was doing the bicycle at a certain speed to watch the specific series or movies that he wanted to watch. So yeah, he programmed his brain so that the action of doing a bicycle initiates a reward system in his brain, because it's now associated with, if I do cycling I get a reward, which is he gets to watch Netflix. Anyways, yeah, you can use that in a lot of things. The temptation bundling, like if you really need to work out, you could temptation bundle onto that as well. Like you could listen to, be careful, yo, be careful, everybody. It's just you and me. It's just us and the motorcycles. Hope they're driving safe. Hope they're alright. Okay, let's continue. Temptation bundling. Skrrr. I don't know why I did that, but let's say you want to work out, right? It's something you need to do, but you don't like doing it. You're trying to build a habit, of course, and you know that it's beneficial for your bone, body health, and mental health. But then it's difficult. You don't like it. So what you can do is temptation bundling. You could listen to your favorite musics while working out, and you could even wear your favorite clothes while working out. You never thought of that, did you? You never thought of that, did you? You probably did, honestly. I think you're much smarter than me. But hey, yeah, just temptation bundle onto that, and you'll be more inclined to do it the next time around, or to do it even right now. Actually, do this as well. Like when the times that I don't want to work out, what I just do is like pick the favorite clothes that I want when to work out, and that in itself pushes me to like do it far greatly. I just, what, I need to work out today. What are comfortable clothes that I want to wear to look good and feel good while working out, and that in itself just makes me do it. That's temptation bundling. It's actually quite awesome. So yeah, another formula it states here is habit stacking plus temptation bundling formula. Oof. Now we're doing something. Now we're doing the combos, bro. We're doing the wombo combos right here. Habit stacking and temptation bundling, bro. OP. I tell you now. So, as I stated, temptation bundling is doing what you need and then doing what you want after, right? It's the simple concept of temptation bundling, right? If you, or you can do it at the same time, like the engineer do it with the bike. But yeah, it's the basic concept of temptation bundling is doing what you need and habit that I want, or the reward that you want. But it says here that the habit I need, then habit that I want. That's temptation bundling. And then you can combo it with habit stacking. Brain exploded? Not yet. Maybe just me. It's alright. Okay, so with habit stacking, that would look like after current habit, I will do the next habit that I would need. So you're stacking the need from the thing that you already do. It's habit stacking. See what I'm doing there? And then after let's do it again. So after current habit, I will do the habit that I need, stacked. And then after I do the habit I need, then I will do the habit that I want. You know what? It's opposite, right? So after current habit, I will habit that I need, and then I will do the habit that I want. So would look something like this. After I read Atomic Habits by James Clear, I will work out, for example, and then I will get to do guitar, something that I want, or then I get to eat the cookie in the fridge or something like that. So yeah, now we're getting the wombo combos, and that's day 12 of Relearning Atomic Habits by James Clear. Gotta work out, gotta go. Skadoosh. It is
July 29 to 21 a.m. All right, so we can't sleep yet. We're not feeling tired. I thought we were tired, so we tried to sleep, but then we can't sleep yet. It's been more than 20 minutes, maybe 40 minutes. So let's try band labs, do music or listen to music and just chill out. We woke up at like I think 9. So like if we slept at 4, so we'd have like 5 hours of sleep. But it's all right. It's all right. It's all good. We're gonna make sure that we're gonna have a great sleep today. Alrighty, alrighty. Okay, I I don't know. I don't know. I think that's all right. Is that enough headroom? Okay, let's go. Time check, 12:08 p.m. January 29, day 13, 5, 3. Yeah, day 13 of Relearning Atomic Habits by James Clear. All right. We got off by day 12 on like attractiveness and how if it's attractive to our brain, now that greatly benefits onto us doing that certain behavior over a long period of time. And now we're at chapter 9. What you'd say, the role of family and friends in shaping your habits. So yeah, let's give it a shot. Okay, so what did we okay. So what did we learn? What did we learn? That's the question, bro. All right. Okay. So to understand the role of family and friends in shaping your habits, like your inner, social family and friends, how it really shapes you, is that James Clear provides a story or a great, evidence to it. So, a Hungarian man named I can't get my hands in the camera. So, a Hungarian man named Laszlo Polgar, wrote, had the idea that a genius is not born but is educated and trained. So what he did was that he actually kind of a unusual dude, but he wrote a letter to a woman named Clara to his proposal into raising children that were gonna be geniuses, because his mantra again is like a genius is not born but is educated and trained. So he wanted to prove this, so he made a letter to this girl or woman he knew. Kind of weird, kind of unusual, but let's see the story. So anyways, how did it go? Well, they had okay, so they had so how did it go? They had three they had 3 wonderful daughters. They were Susan, Sophia, and Judith. So again, the father is Laszlo Polgar and the mother is Clara. And let's just leave it there. It's Clara, okay? Okay, so they homeschooled them and they live in Hungary as well. So it stated here that was a luxury at the time. I don't really know, but that's what it states. And they homeschooled them onto playing chess and also education of basic education. But what happened? Let's see what happened. So Susan, the oldest, began playing chess when she was 4 years old, and within 6 months she was defeating adults. So like the kid just played for 6 months. She loved the game for 6 months. When she was 4 years old, she was beating people at her 20s. Damn. So that's Susan, the first child, and the second child or the middle child, Sophia. Oof, I know a friend, Sophia, who's also good at chess. If you're watching this, Sophia, props to you. Respect to the grind. Chess power. All right. All right. We are at Sophia is the middle child. She did even better. By 14, she was a world champion. Not a national champion, a world champion. I don't really know much about trophies and titles in chess, but a world champion, damn. I'm like, sheesh, 14.
I guess so. 14, yeah. And a few later, she became a grand master. Just a few years later. So imagine like you're 14, you're now world champion. 2 years later, boom, grandmaster, just like that. Because your environment of your family and your friends, like your sisters, were that shaped in a way that the habit of playing chess was attractive to you. So now let's look at the third child. Oh my God, bro! Let's look at the youngest. So Judith, the youngest, was the best of all. By age 5, she could beat her father. Age 5, bro. At age 5, I didn't even know if I could wipe correctly at that time, bro. Like, I don't know about these kids nowadays. But yeah, at age 5, she could beat her father. And at 12, she was the youngest player ever listed among the top 100 chess players in the world. At 15 years and 4 months old. She became the youngest grandmaster of all time. All right. Younger than Bobby Fischer. Bobby Fischer is a familiar name. Apologies. Me personally, I don't really play chess that much, but I'm familiar with him. Kind of like a vague sense of his fame and power or prestige. I don't really know him that much. Let's continue. So she's now the youngest grandmaster of all time at 15. Okay, okay. For 27 years, she was, okay, let's just break that down. For not 5 years, for not 10 years, for not 15 years, for not even 20 years, for not even 25 years, but like 27 years, she was the number one ranked out. For 27 years, she was the number one ranked female chess player in the world. Okay. Like damn, 27 years, you just got a hold of the title? Damn. Bro, give opportunity to others, yo. I'm kidding. Keep the grind, yo. That's cool. So yeah, the childhood of the Polgar sisters, they call it, was atypical to say the least. And yet, if you ask them, like, how was your childhood? Isn't that like kind of boring? Isn't like unattractive that you play chess like all the time? Well, they claim that their lifestyle was actually attractive and even greatly enjoyable. In interviews, the sister actually talks about their childhood as entertaining rather than grueling, and they love playing chess that they couldn't get enough of it. That's how much power environment really is. And so yeah, once Laszlo, the father, right? Is that the father? Yeah, Laszlo Polgar reported he found Sophia. Okay, the second oldest, the middle child, playing chess in the bathroom in the middle of the night. So she encouraged her to go back to sleep. So she was playing chess at the bathroom. Imagine, bro. That is quite funny imagining. So yeah, she was playing chess in the bathroom in the middle of the night. So her father, Laszlo, encouraged her to sleep. But then Sophia, he stated that, Sophia, leave the pieces alone, girl. Leave the pieces alone. You gotta go to sleep, your brain needs rest as well. That's my interpretation of what he said. And then the girl said, Daddy, they won't leave me alone. That's why, you know what I'm saying? Anyways, that happened. So yeah, they really love chess, their family. Wholesome at that, honestly. What first started as an experiment turned out to be, greatly positive. And like, kind of wholesome for me, to understand that the kids actually enjoyed it as well. Awesome. Okay, so yeah, that's how it is. And that's one of the reasons why it is greatly crucial to surround yourself and be critical when it comes to your family and friends, because they do greatly define a great part of habits that you form. So yeah, let's look at his other points. Okay, my bad. Let's look at his other points. Okay, he also talks about the seductive pull of social norms. So the thing about habits is actually we we take them up or we learn them, it's usually not something that we make up for ourselves. That really happens. What happens most of the time is that we take it from someone who is close, or from the many people or the majority people or the powerful. So yeah, that's the thing. We imitate the habits of three groups in particular. That's the close, family and friends. The many, if like you see social media, everybody buys this new shoe, or like everybody is now has the habit to walk, and now you're more encouraged to walk. So yeah. Now, number three is like the powerful. We imitate habits of those of successful people. And why is that? Well, we want to be successful ourselves. There are people we envy, and we analyze their habits and understand, wait, if they do this and it made them successful, I can try it out and I'll do it for myself. So yeah, that's how, our social norms, environments, and the people we meet affect us in terms of habit and our identity. And also like the things that are attractive to us, like the Pulgar sisters who really love chess, did in fact become great chess players. Anyways, let's continue. So yeah, the thing about the seductive pull of social norms is that it's both good and bad. It's a double-edged sword, I'd like to state. And why is that? Well, it's a double-edged sword, sword and shield. My bad. Where was me? Okay, it's a double-edged sword because if it's normal behavior of the tribe, then we try to if the normal behavior of the tribe is like good, and we follow it, that's awesome. But then if like the normal behavior of the tribe is bad, like maybe a habit of drinking, or like eating, I don't know, man, let's say drinking, I don't know, but yeah, if it's good, like if you follow the social norms and they're good, it's awesome. But if they're bad, you'll get affected by it as well, far greatly. So it's double-edged. So the thing is, the normal behavior of the tribe as well often overpowers the desired behavior of the individual, because in most days, we'd rather be actually wrong with the crowd than actually be right ourselves. I've actually noticed this, like in terms of classroom, when I've like, I think that you'd say I have like a different answer from the class. I used to not state it, or I just go with the answer of the crowd or of the whole class. But now I'm like, nah, I'm gonna do my own thing and just like, this is my answer. I hope it could be wrong, could be right. I don't know, but it's what I really think. Because often, it states here, the normal behavior of the tribe often overact. It's so because it states here, the normal behavior of the tribe often overpowers the behavior of the individual. So if you don't learn to have individuality, to be able to push yourself to get out of the crowd sometimes when needed, it's gonna be difficult for you. It's gonna be difficult for you in a lot of aspects, because a lot of successful people actually stand out. They don't actually greatly fit the norm. Sometimes they're greatly, unusual, but in that aspect, it makes them unique, and that could be one of the reasons why they are successful. One of these persons I know this, like Tyler, the Creator. His music, he creates himself. He creates music. One of my idols currently. But yeah, his fashion sense absolutely doesn't follow the trends. His music, the thing he produced, doesn't follow the trend as well. It's not pop. It's just it's just things that he likes to make. And yeah, you need to have individuality in the sense of that, because yeah, you need to just have strength to be individual, to stand out, because yeah, it's a double-edged sword. So yeah, okay, one of the examples he states here is that it was one of these studies. So the studies did something like this. So they did, which in they made two cards. They made you read a card. If hopefully I'm correct in my analogy, but they made you read a card, and it looks something like this. They had like one phrases, or like 1, 2, 3 phrases, and then what they had you do next was actually quite simple. They just had you choose which of the next cards greatly follow the number of structure, or like the number of, something like that, lines to the original card that you saw. But then the twist is they had actors. They had actors that played out to intentionally choose the wrong answer. So as it was just one person, one actor who said the wrong thing. People just thought, I'm sitting in a room with an idiot. And just chose the right one. But then, as like the number of actors, increased, what happened? What happened is that even if, fundamentally they know that it was wrong, but like 80-90% of the crowd says that this is correct, so they often follow it. And that's the struggle when it comes to social norms, right? It's easy to follow and very hard to push away, I'd say. We are, humans are social creatures, and that is a studied fact. But it's kind of sad to know that this is the extent on which society is able to shape us. So yeah, it's kind of, I don't know. Not much words for that yet. Okay, is that all? I guess that is all, honestly. Okay, I'll give you the last tip, as I've now tried to structure, is that the last tip is like the practical application of the things that we learned. So, making things attractive, right? And how your inner circle, society, your family, your friends shapes you and your habits, the things that you find attractive, the things that you want to do, and the things that what we'd state that are right for you in your perspective are ultimately greatly shaped as well by the environment you're in. Hehe, hi ma. Oh, wait lang. Last note for the practical tip is that, so one of the things you could do is actually just what you'd state as join a culture wherein your desired behavior is normal. So for example, if you really want to have good grades, why not join a group of friends, a group of people who are really studious, who love studying. Oh, because in that way, when the normal behavior is to study, you'll be what we'd state. Okay. Okay, where were we? So one of the so for the last helpful tip, it's this, if no, where were we? So for the last tip is that to simply join the helpful tip or the learning for the chapter is that if you want to create a habit, one of the things you could do is that join a culture wherein your desired behavior is normal. So again, I've stated, like, if you want to have good grades, why not join a group of people that are very studious and love learning? And that way, because it's normal to study, you'll be more inclined to study, and as a result, you'll get good grades. And if you want to be more physically active, physically fit, you could join a running club, for example. And in that aspect, since running is normal, you'll be more inclined to run. So yeah, but the second fundamental connected tip to that, or learning to that, is just to join, a group that you have something in common with, because that will allow you to resonate with the people more and give you more emotion of inspiration to act. Like an example he has here is actually a guy that made a club, I think, that helps nerds, misfits, and mutants lose weight, get strong, and get healthy. So his clients include video game lovers, movie fanatics, and average Joes who just want to get in shapes. Because when it comes to joining any gym, and you try to change your diet, you try to make new plans for yourself, it's difficult because it's a new environment. There's very few things that you find familiar, and when it's unfamiliar, it's unattractive. So one of the things you could do is like join a club, like for example this club, where he states that he made a club for nerd people, so that who want to lose weight, meet, and become physically active, so that when people join in, they have something in common, like maybe their love for Star Trek, and now they are more inclined because to be physically fit and do physical activities, because now they have like a tribe, a group of friends that also love Star Wars and also are want to improve their lives physically. So that's one of the things he states. So yeah, that's day 12 or of Relearning Atomic Habits by James Clear. Awesome book, greatly recommend. And SKADOOSH. Okay, we are now at day 14 of Relearning Atomic Habits by James Clear. Goated book. So we are actually right now, like, I think page 135, right? No, we're at 138, 139. So, but anyways, yeah, it's just like I think we're at 50% of the book. So yeah, it's awesome. We're finally at 50%. I didn't know it could get that fast. But yeah, what did we learn? So we learned about chapter 10, which is how to find and fix the causes of your bad habits. So to quickly summarize, how do you find and fix the causes of your bad habits? Well, the first thing you should do is be aware of the habits that are surrounding you. Because the thing is, even if you are like a very logical person, the thing is, even if you are a very aware and logical person, the thing is, alright, let's take three. The thing is, even if you are an aware type of person or a logical person, it's just difficult to see the bad habits that you have without giving much effort. So it does require effort to be aware, because habits are unconscious. You don't see that every time that you try to write, you actually bite your pen. You don't think of that. So it's really requires effort first to be aware of all the habits that you can do. One thing you can do maybe to be aware is like have someone list down the habits that you're doing, or you can take a video of yourself in like your everyday life and see what sort of habits you see. But honestly, you could just reflect as well. But sometimes that could get in a way, because still it's unconscious, and sometimes you might not see everything. So yeah, those are my tips for how to find your habits and to fix them. Well, I guess that's part of it, being aware. And to fix them is to reframe your associations you have with them. So for example, for me, I use the phone not because I want to scroll, but because I really want to relax and take off stress and mental load, because my mind just goes on a lot of complicated things and won't stop. And also, like, my mind is like not a healthy place to be. Like currently there's a lot of negativity in my state of mind, so that's why I scroll down and I get lost, and I get that's why I have a habit of forgetting and scrolling down forever in YouTube shorts or Facebook. But yeah, what you can do is like reframe the associations. So how would you do that? Well, one of the aspects he states here is before, for example, let's say So, okay, for example, let's state that it's your habit that when you're stressed, you pet your dog so that you become happy and you become relaxed. But the thing is, you understand that you're not able to pet your dog always. There's some places and some time that your dog's not gonna be there to relieve stress for you. So what you can do is that now that it's still a habit for you that when you pet your dog, you relax. What you can do is like reframe the association. How so? Well, before you pet the dog to relieve stress, what you're gonna do is like take 3 deep breaths and smile, and then pet the dog. Because over time, what that would do is reassociate the thing of relieving stress and being happy to just taking 3 deep breaths and smiling, which is greatly accessible and greatly beneficial for you. Well, for my case, if I just do the phone, what are the things that I can do? Well, since it's a habit for me when I'm stressed, I scroll down. Even today, I scroll down on YouTube Shorts. What I can do is like, I think I'll incorporate take 3 deep breaths. I don't know if I like to smile, but I think I'll just take 3 deep breaths and reassociate my mind in positive things before I scroll. Because in that way, hopefully, over time, I'll start doing it today. Over time, I'll reassociate being relieved from stress and being happy from, let's say, scrolling down to now just taking 3 deep breaths. And that's greatly beneficial for me because I am someone who is easily stressed. So I'm easily stressed that it impacts greatly my ability to sleep. But anyways, let's continue. So that's just it. To find and fix your bad habits, you have to be aware. And second is you need to reframe them, right? It's not easy, of course, but if you can reprogram your predictions, you can transform a hard habit into an attractive one. So that's just it. But one of the subpoints in finding and fixing your bad habits is, it's a continuation of making things attractive. It's doing, what you're gonna do is, for your bad habits, for example, you're always gonna try to push yourself, inform yourself, to talk to yourself about the negative effects of doing that specific bad habits. So it actually states here in the book of how, a lot of people, or the people that he talks to when he went to the trip, where was it? Let's check it out. Where was it? Hold up. So he went to Turkey. Yeah, he met a lot of people that he had a guide, and he met a lot of people who knew the guide, the one who teaches you the place. Yeah, he met that guide, and that guide had friends that also quit smoking. So what happened in that book is that it was the book of the easy way to stop smoking, and it helped them. How so? Because in simple terms, it just allowed them to constantly remind yourself and be aware of the negative effects of smoking. So it goes like this. Some aspects of the book is that stop lying to yourself. You don't actually want to smoke. You don't really enjoy this. Because that's aspects, those aspects in the book, it says here that it helped them not become a victim of their actions anymore, and you start to realize you don't actually need to smoke to relieve stress or stuff like those. So it states right here that James Clear, he doesn't do cigarettes, but he took a look at the book, and it says things that really make a bad habit unattractive. And how so? Let's look at the examples. He states that the book states that you think you're quitting something, but you're not quitting anything, because cigarettes do nothing for you. You think smoking is something you need to do to be social, but it is not, absolutely. Because you can be social without smoking at all, without drinking at all, without drinking and smoking at all. So you think smoking is about relieving stress, but it's not. Smoking does not, in fact, relieve your nerves. It, in fact, destroys them. Your nerves. It does. That sounded kind of shallow. Let's take a look at that again. So the third one is, You think smoking is about relieving stress, but it's not. In fact, smoking does not relieve stress. Does not relieve your nerves. Let's do that a third time. So you think that smoking is about relieving stress, but it's not. Smoking does not relieve your nerves. It actually destroys them. So the book, I've heard from a YouTube video as well that it employs a lot of psychological things to really have you internalize that smoking is not good for you. For example, from a YouTube video that I heard, that it had a page wherein it states the benefit. So it talks about first like the negative effects of. It doesn't actually talk first about the negative effects of good smoking. What it did, based on the YouTube video that I saw, is that he says that it had a page or a chapter stating the positive effects of smoking, but then it was just 4 pages that were empty, and that makes you think, why am I smoking? When in fact there are no positive benefits, clear positive benefits on it. When it comes to health, mental health, because you don't need it. It has not much benefit for you. All the things you can do with smoking, you can do without it. So yeah, those are the things that you can do. Just simply make your habits, the good habits that you want to do, more attractive, but also remind yourself, that it is unattractive in doing that. And also fundamentally remind yourself like the type of person that you want to become. Because the first few pages of this book, I will never forget about this now, because this is greatly essential. It's just greatly about becoming the person that you want to be. So who do you want to be? Do you really want to stop smoking first? To continuously stop working for smoking? Okay, so do you really want to stop smoking for just like continuously for 30 days, 3 months? No, that's not the goal. The goal was to become a person who doesn't smoke. So that in fact does help me in a lot of aspects, because the goal for me is not to stop, let's say, gaming, or not to stop scrolling, doom scrolling. The goal for me is to become a person who is productive in their life and doing everything they can to provide a positive impact to the world. So yeah, it's just really greatly about becoming the type of person you want to be. And every single day you're gonna have to remind yourself that this is the person I want to be, this is the benefits of becoming that person, and not becoming that person, well, this is the negative effects that will happen if I don't do it. So yeah, so the fundamentals at the very first chapter of the book, I always remember, because they are essential and it's working for me, honestly, to really remind myself the type of person I want to be. It's not just about being consistent in guitar or being consistent in making music. It's more about me becoming a musician. It wasn't about being consistent by guitar. It wasn't about being consistent about producing music and learning about music theory, learning about reading music. It was about me becoming the person who is a musician. I am a musician. So yeah, it's not about reading consistently the book for like 30 days or how much I get to finish this, but it's about becoming a person who learns, always tries to learn, who listens, who learns and reads. So yeah, it's one of the lessons of the book, plus lessons that I've internalized from the very few chapters of it, fundamental. Yeah, it actually talks about the third point. Third point is that your habits are actually modern day solutions to ancient desires. Why do you want to go to Tinder? You don't actually, you want to date, but internally you have an ancient desire to, be part of a community, or be part of someone, to procreate, So yeah, you don't actually want, you like taco, you like eating taco, but, why do you always make a habit to buy taco or buy, Don Mac? It's not that you want it. It's not much that you want it. It's actually greatly as well that it's a translation. That habit is a translation of the solution of ancient desires. Like you buy Don Mac because it makes you feel good, gives you, satiation and energy. So yeah, a lot of aspect is in that regard, solutions to ancient desires. Because yeah, they are, honestly. Because as I've stated, that habits are automatic solutions to things that we encounter more than once in our life in a long period. That happens. It's just a solution, and as many solutions, like in coding, we can change it to what is the most efficient for us. So yeah, highlight the benefits of avoiding a bad habit to make it seem unattractive. And habits are also attractive when we associate them with positive feelings. If I work out, well, I get to feel good about myself. I get to be energized. Actually, that happens. When I work out, I am personally more mentally stable, less negativity, and more energized. So yeah, think about, the feelings that you have when you do the positive things, and the feelings you will have if you do the negative thing. Actually, I've heard this concept from another book, from the book right here. I won't say the name because it's not really the best thing, but let's just say it's the book, the Art of Not Giving a Care. So it states that even though we've built upon that humans are logical creatures, we are in fact greatly emotional. How so? Well, they actually did a study wherein they remove emotions from rats, I think, and they didn't want to do anything. They didn't want to procreate, they didn't want to eat, they didn't want to walk, they didn't want to they didn't want to do anything. And that's the aspect of us, because the truth is we are not a logical person. Though we have logic as a great part of us, the thing is our emotions drive the car, and our logic is just the passenger seat reading the map and trying to state to the emotional part of our brain, the one driving, that hey, this is the thing that we should do. But in that aspect, since we are emotional creatures, far greater than we give credit to, like in our society, you need to understand that you need to encourage yourself in not logical statements, though that would be awesome as well, but also in terms of feelings. So if I stop smoking, then I will feel greatly proud of myself. I wouldn't now be greatly healthy because now my lungs will probably be better. I will get to inhale much more clearer, and I get to really be proud of myself and be proud to the people I'm talking about because I got to smoke. I got to stop smoking. So yeah, do that. And when I get to work out, I get to feel good. I get to feel strong. I get to feel powerful, and I get to feel energized. So yeah, also focus as much on the emotion aspect when you're trying to convince yourself as in the logical aspect of things. So yeah, think about, because yeah, honestly, this has worked a lot for me because in terms of my doom scrolling tendency, what I now do is like I state to myself, well, what would I feel if I stop right now? Well, I'll probably feel much better because when I stop, I get more time to do guitar, which I really enjoy, and I get more time to read, which I've been loving this book. And in that aspect, focusing on the feelings really does encourage us because from the past learnings as a book as well, that the dopamine factor, wherein the act of anticipation of a reward, the feelings of achieving something, actually greatly makes us act. It isn't the thing that doing it and doing it that gives us much pleasure. It's actually the anticipation of reward that not only gives us great amount of dopamine and satisfaction, but it also pushes us to act. So that's how important really stating yourself, or speaking to yourself in a language of emotions. So yeah, damn, this book is awesome, and I got to really incorporate my learning. So yeah, that's day 14 of Relearning Atomic Habits by James Clear. We're almost like, oh my god, we got an extra hand now. That's gonna be OP, bro. Oh my god, we're at 50%. We're at 50%, and let's just keep doing this. Just keep documenting our journey. Let's go. Skadooshh. Howdy. It is day 15. Day 15 of Relearning. Relearning Atomic Habits by James Clear. Yeah, we've been consistent. Let's go. Hi. Anyways, we are now at chapter 11, which is walk slowly but never backwards. So, what did we learn? Well, we got off first by understanding the value of just really doing repetitions unto your things that you want to do or habits that you want to form. So he states a story like this. So on the first day of class, Jerry Ullsman, a professor in University of Florida, he divided his film photography students into two groups. So the first group were, he explained were the quantity group. So they would be graded solely in the amount of number of photos they submitted. So quantity. 100 photos would rate an A, 90 photos would rate a B, 80 photos would rate a C, and so on. But then the second group is, they were graded with just one photo. So this is a photography class, I think. And then the second group is just, graded by one photo, one perfect photo for the whole semester. They just have to submit one. Now, what was surprising was that at the end of the term, he found out that all the best photos that were produced by let's do it again. So what was surprising is that he found out that the best photos, all of them, were produced by the quantity group. So what does that state about habits and behavior and learning? Well, it states that it doesn't really matter much doing something perfectly or doing the perfect way of doing things, like the perfect diet plan, the perfect workout plan for you. No, it doesn't matter. It matters less. Okay, it matters less. It still matters, but but greatly small in compared to just trying and providing quantity. Because in this study, it says that, the students who just simply failed, just tried to submit 100 times, didn't really care much of the perfectness of photos, had the best photos. Simply because they tried more. And I could relate that a lot when it comes to success. Because the thing is, we fear failure by a lot, in a lot of magnitude, that we don't really try as much in terms of quantity. He actually states right here in another point that he states right here in a connected point is motion versus action. The thing about us in majority of people is that they do mostly motion. And what do we mean by that? We mean that we try to find out the most optimal plan for change. The most optimal, the fastest way to lose weight, the best diet to lose weight, the best program to build muscle, the perfect idea for a side hustle, or the best side hustle you can find out. And so we are, so focused on the best approach that we never get around on taking action. That happened to me, and that could, be relayed to you as well. So he refers to this, again, is, the difference between motion and taking action. So why do we do motion a lot of the time? Why do we plan more and act less? Well, the thing about doing motion is that we feel good about ourselves because we feel like we're actually doing something to change. But in truth, we have not done things to change. Those are plans. Those are layout pathways. And as long as we don't do it, it will matter less. If you want to be great at YouTube, for example, it matters less that you try to make up the best YouTube idea that you can. Because in truth, the best YouTube idea without being acted upon, will never be popular because you never uploaded it. So that's the thing. We just really gotta act. And that's my understanding of it. And we do motion because, other than action, because it doesn't feel good to fail, or to be publicly judged. So we tend to avoid situations where this might happen. So we do motion more. And that's the biggest reason why we slip into it. Rather than taking action, we want to delay our failure. And damn, I resonate with that a lot because me personally, I do tend to do more motion than action. But I've built it up onto myself that to really be good at something, I just really gotta act. I just really gotta fail. That's one of my philosophies right now. I have to fail more in order to succeed. And in order to be better, or in order to be the best that I can be, I need to fail more. And what I'm thinking right now, honestly, is not about like not failing, but how can I fail faster and learn as fast as possible. So what I've been doing is just uploading videos online so that I can gain motion. And I mean emotion in a sense that it creates flow of me just uploading videos online. And it didn't. My first video wasn't perfect, and I understood that. I just gave it like an hour and few, maybe close to an hour and 30 minutes, just to edit it. But after that, I was like, it doesn't have to be perfect. I just gotta upload it so that I have my first action that pushes me to the next, sort of wave thing. But yeah, you have to fail more. And in order for you to be better at piano, for example, you can't be better at it without failing. So the question now is, how can you fail more and learn faster? So that's my current philosophy when it comes to things. And it's, lays out here that it's actually proven as well. So it's awesome. It's awesome. He talks about here as well that it's easy to be in motion because you convince yourself. Okay, it states right here as well, third connection, is that it's easy to be in motion. It's easy. And to add to that, you get to convince yourself that, hey, I'm making progress. You think that I've got conversations with 4 potential clients right now, so this is good. We're moving in the right direction. Or finally, I brainstormed some ideas for that book I want to write. This is coming all together. But as long as you don't write, as long as you don't fail to sail, for example, you're never gonna succeed on the thing that you're gonna do. Motion makes you feel like you're getting things done. You're planning out your next video. You're planning out what is the best workout plan for you, what is the best path when it comes to learning an instrument for you. But as long as you don't put out quantity of action and you don't fail, you're never gonna succeed. Never. It's highly unlikely, unless of course you're like pretty gifted, like a genius, top 0.1%. Probably not. So you'll have to do the work. So motion is bad because in a lot of aspects, if you do it more, it becomes a form of procrastination. I resonate with that a lot. It's something that I did as well. It becomes, the thing is that, okay, I want to work out 3 times a week. What is the best workout plan there is? What is the best diet plan so that I can get big as fast? What are the best nutrients that I can do? What are the best clothes that I can use? What are the best shoe wear that I can use? And you start thinking all of those little details and motion, but turns out it's been a week and you haven't done any action. So think about that. We have a tendency to make motion as a means of procrastination. because as long as you don't act, nothing will be done. So yeah, if you want to master a habit, last point, the key is to start. Oh, let me just change up the camera. Oh. Okay, so if you want to master a habit, the key is to start with repetition, not perfection. You know, you don't need to map out every feature of a new habit. You just gotta start. You just gotta practice it. If you want to make it a habit to play guitar, you know, it matters less that you try to find the perfect time, place, and even the perfect guitar to play and start playing guitar. It matters less. What matters most is you start action. You start making it a habit that every single day you play guitar. Every single, 3 days of the week you work out. Every 3 days of the week you do physical activity, or maybe every single day you study. It doesn't matter. No, it matters less the time, the place, the date, as long as you do it and you keep on doing it. Your habit will form. You just gotta act on it. So yeah, that's day 15. I had to cut it short because I'm also editing the day 10 to 14 relearning, and uploading it in my YouTube channel. So yeah, if you want to check it out, I'm actually really proud of the things that I've learned and the way that I've talked into things, because I believe I've stated some points in a simple manner, in a manner that is relatable and understandable to you. So yeah, this is my YouTube channel, and this is my TikTok, where I upload musical stuff, mostly musical stuff, because I'm in my musical journey, and I'm now currently learning piano, learning guitar, learning band labs, and learning to read music as well as musical theory. So if you want to check out my journey, that's my TikTok as well. So that's all for now, and skadoosh.